This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Sunday. What is the come dance emote? I am not familiar with the come dance emote. Sounds sexual anarchy-ish. Stabby, good evening. Prometheus, the Terry, Mary Jane, good evening, welcome. So glad to see Clinically back in the chat. Media Wind keeps telling me I need to do the better TV thing. Song, good evening, welcome. I need to get on that. I'm lazy. That's my bad. That apparently activates a whole bunch of other emotes that you guys would have. Warlord, are you in here? Welcome, good evening. He doesn't even watch the stream anymore. I need to revoke his head mod status. Cause he ain't even be watching this shit. I'm sorry, I'm not high enough. I'm not high enough for this shit. Let me get a little bong rip here. Sacrificial milk. Clinically with the resub. I hope you were here earlier. When I said I'm glad to see you back in the chat. Always enjoy having messages from Clinically whenever I go to start getting ready for the show. Sip, good evening. Do you smell what the simp is cooking? What are you cooking? I made meatballs and baked spaghetti. I had about a fourth of a package of Italian sausage. I had a package of hamburger meat. I made meatballs. I can't complain, Zon. I finally, I've been replaying Red Dead, and I was getting bored of it. Because, I'm playing it for the second time. And also, I've been playing Red Dead Online with my buddy, so I'm, double dipping. So, I really wanted to put Red Dead behind me. And I did. I beat it again. Over the weekend. Yesterday, to be exact. Anonymously, good evening. Started playing. I'm ready to jump into spooky games now. Alien Isolation is what I already started, Staffy. Well, my only problem with Red Dead is there's 4 different endings, right? So my dumb ass forgot to put a save point there at the, before the last mission. Because I was going to go and do it all 4 different ways. And, can't. And it sure doesn't, it doesn't let you go back to your other, auto save. So I'd have to play the whole game again. And I'm not going to do that. I don't feel like doing that. Fucking amazing game. If you've never played Red Dead, you like story-driven games. Beautiful, fantastic game. I cried all over again. Playing it again yesterday. But it's huge. It's so enormous. This isn't really a meme of the day. I don't even know what to call this. I'm mainly putting this picture up here because I want somebody in the chat to explain to me. Milf, I hadn't played it since I originally beat it, right when it came out. October of 2018, maybe. I don't remember how long ago it was. Dougie, good evening, Flash. General NYC hate. Okay. Didn't even think about that. I don't think it's real either. I don't think the truck nuts are real. Are we not going to talk about the huge balls? I didn't understand that it was anti-New York City. Georgie, good evening. I figured it was anti-American. Princess Gimberly, good evening. It was on a shit posting page. But I'm like, 2 planes wasn't enough. Wasn't enough for what? What are we trying to accomplish here? Are we anti-American? Also, that truck is gigantic. Look how much bigger it is than that dude. A Ford body on a Dodge frame. I couldn't even tell. This picture's just all kinds of crazy fucked up. Fuzzy Simba, good evening. Burrito. He has little balls, has to compensate. The balls on the back of the truck stand almost to his waist. Did anybody else play that Punisher game for like PS2 or something? I think Rockstar made it. And it's like one of the funnest games ever goddamn made. But I don't think they ever made a sequel to it. We never got more Punisher. And I'm pissed off about that. What the fuck was up with that shit? Am I smoking crack? That was a good game, right? Oregon Gal, good evening. What are we going to be talking about tonight? Hold on, I guess I got to do the rundown of what's on the show. I'm just completely fucking off on my actual responsibility. We're going to hear from the sanitation manager at the Boar's Head plant that had to be shut down because of a listeria outbreak. That is a man who probably should have been fired from his job. The Coast Guard. We got video of this, too. A daring rescue off the coast of Hawaii. We got video of bulls fleeing a rodeo in, I believe it was Maryland? Massachusetts. It was Massachusetts. I knew it was one of those northeastern states. A woman has filed a lawsuit against Florida police after she claims she was falsely arrested. A man was in too big of a hurry to get to the liquor store and crashed the fuck into that motherfucker. I don't know if he was actually trying to get to the liquor store, but he crashed the fuck into it. I was just assuming. Town in Pennsylvania is in an uproar after an investigation into a potential police chief candidate who is apparently not allowed to be a part of law enforcement. We got an update on the shooting that took place in Kentucky involving a sheriff who shot a judge. That's where I'm from, and I actually have some information that's very much gossip, rumor, and hearsay that I might tell you guys if you really want to know. But it's a sordid affair, I will tell you that. Pictures of the aftermath of a man killed in a fatal train collision. The mother of the school shooter in Georgia has been arrested. Has nothing to do with the school shooter. If you'll remember correctly, the father of the school shooter was arrested. The mother, we didn't feel had anything to do with it because she didn't have custody of the child and wasn't around him, tried to call the school and warn them. She was arrested apparently for taping her mom to a chair. It was a day that ends in Y, so you know what that means. We got an update on the Birmingham mass shooting taking place this weekend. I got a clip from John Fetterman, so it's going to make everybody in the chat mad. Israel been doing all kinds of shit, going to make everybody in the chat mad. They shut down Al Jazeera. They're calling for the mass expulsion of civilians. Hezbollah firing hundreds of rockets into Israel. We'll get all that shit. Janet Jackson heard that Kamala Harris isn't black. Apparently, Joe Biden was caught on a hot mic talking about China. Macklemore started a "fuck the USA" or "fuck America" chant, something like that, at his concert. A deal has been struck to avoid a government shutdown. Trump says it's too late for another debate, and that he isn't planning on running again should he lose this coming November. I'm going to tell you about candidate Tom Walz. Lindsey Graham is trying to do an election interference before we even get to the election. There's been a mass exodus of staff in the campaign of Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson in North Carolina. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening. Welcome in. Oh no, anybody snuck in that I didn't see. Mary Jane, I tell you good evening. Welcome in. Glad to see everybody. It is 10 after. I promise to get to the news by 10 after. Stop me from yakking too much. We have narrowly avoided a government shutdown. The deadline was this Friday, I believe it was. The Drake has arrived. I love the Drake. Holidays arrived. You know what? Since the Drake has arrived, I got a meme just for you. Ronald Reagan as Drake. Not even a meme. It's just a screenshot from a movie. Don't hate me. Please don't hate me. Shelly, good evening. It was uncalled for. There was no reason for me to do that. None whatsoever. It was sheer meanness on my part that provoked. I'm sorry, Drake. I apologize. I hope you can accept my apology. In return, to make up for it, I'm going to give you a fantastic news show. We narrowly avoided a government shutdown, which apparently would have took place on Friday. Mike Johnson caving. We have a 3-month continuing resolution.
On the headlines this morning, can Congress avoid a government shutdown? We are just over a week away from finding out. That deadline is coming up.
We did.
End of September. House Majority Leader is in discussions right now. Speaker Mike Johnson failed in
the headline.
A
headline is wrong.
Last week, and now the Senate says it will advance a bipartisan bill. Where do things stand? Well, joining us live this morning, Republican Congressman Andy Harris of Maryland. He is now the chair of the House Appropriations Subcommittee and was just elected as the chair of the Conservative Freedom Caucus. Congressman Harris, good to see you as always. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Tom.
Now, your predecessor, Congressman Good, in your position with the Freedom Caucus, was often at the center.
This is the same story.
Debates. So give us your perspective right now. What is the holdup here? Because we had heard that this voting ID bill was the holdup. Is there a spending component of the concern as well?
A deal has been reached.
Well, I'll tell you, look, the vast majority of the Democrats voted to shut down the government. We had a vote on this past week. And again, if they want to shut down the government because we insist that illegal aliens.
So, House leaders unveiled on Sunday their new legislation to avert a shutdown at the end of the month and fund the government until December 20th. The House is expected to vote on the roughly 3-month clean continuing resolution by Wednesday. This is according to GOP leadership. This includes $231 million in additional U.S. Secret Service funding. Since the second assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump, lawmakers from both parties have been pushing for more funding and resources for the Secret Service, because that'll make them smarter. Additional aid is confined to helping the agency's need for the 2024 campaign, including protecting candidates. There is no additional disaster relief. There are, however, funds included in the bill to replenish FEMA's coffers. Otherwise, funding will remain at the same level.
aliens actually can't vote in a federal election? Let's have that discussion any day of the week. But it's the Democrats who said no to a government funding bill this week.
One of the things we keep hearing is that some Republicans are concerned about this because they don't want to get locked into 6 months of spending levels when we don't even know who's going to win the election right now. How big of a factor is all of that?
Sorry, smacking the mic there.
Well, look, Tom, when you set a deadline of funding in March, it doesn't mean you have to go to the deadline. I mean, you could have done it. We could have done it in November, December, January, February. It gives you more.
He is correct.
It's not a date set in stone. So again, the Democrats used the SAVE Act, which again said that illegal aliens can't vote in federal elections.
Light one up, tip one back.
Disagreed with that.
That is already against the law, sir. This is weird red tape that you want to put on the election here at the last minute to try to make it harder for people to vote. Several of those stories I will point out coming up. T-minus, good evening.
Want illegal aliens to vote in federal elections, and the vast majority of Americans disagree, and they're willing to shut down the government over that.
But clearly there's a debate and an argument to be had over that issue because it's an important one. But what does that have to do with keeping the government open?
Well, the thing is that that was the last last major bill that was going to be passed before this election. And if we passed the SAVE Act, it would have gone far to guarantee that illegal aliens don't vote on November 5th. So this was the last train going out of the station. Again, why would anyone reasonable say we're going to shut down the government because we want illegal aliens to vote?
That is just absurd. You're not a reasonable person. You're pushing for something that is already against the law and then blaming the other side because they won't give you your bill that you want that is just political theater.
It appears to be a dead letter office in the Senate, though, and obviously you need both sides of Capitol Hill to agree on this. Is there a plan B right now? The Speaker seemed to say there was a plan B, but didn't enunciate exactly what it was.
Well, I suspect that they'll release the wording of that today.
And I suspect that the CR will pass on Wednesday with support of some Republicans and the majority of Democrats. Maybe there are enough Republicans that are going to vote for it that they'll release the Progressive Caucus to vote against it for whatever reason they want to make it show up. But it's going to pass.
Obviously, we're not going to be able to go into March. We'll probably have to go into December. But again, in December, if the Democrats are unreasonable and reining in federal government spending that's causing inflation, then my advice to the Speaker is, let's close the government down for a few days, go into January when hopefully the Republicans take over both chambers.
We're in the middle of a presidential election, obviously, an election for the entire House. How big is the voice of the presidential candidate for your party weighing in on this discussion? Is President Trump?
It is Trump that wants to block a deal.
No, look, President Trump has an opinion. I suspect he would. He's the presidential candidate. But again, this is going to be left up to the House and the House Republicans to decide. And then, of course, over in the Senate, left to the Senate, to the senators to decide as well.
What's the biggest thing that you want accomplished in this time between right now and the end of the month from a spending standpoint?
Look, I think we have to set it up so that we can have a discussion if it's going to be in December about not giving in to the Senate's $100 billion addition to the budget that they're asking for, above and beyond what the legal limits of the
an old fashioned from the wifey.
I hope we can adhere to that.
What?
One of the things we keep hearing, and often when we get into these shutdown countdowns, is a kick the can down the road scenario where you'll push this out a couple.
I'd prefer to kick authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
At the end of the year, facing this once again, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine would like to go to an annual appropriation that runs on the calendar year, not this, October deadline. Would you be supportive of that? Get some normalcy into this process?
I think that proposal doesn't go far enough. I think what we have to do is, with the exception of the defense budget, we should go to 2-year appropriations bills. There just isn't enough time on the clock, especially in the Senate, to pass bills on an annual basis. And look, the bottom line is the Senate hasn't taken up a single appropriations bill on the floor. That's a complete failure of Chuck Schumer in the Senate.
Congressman Andy Harris.
Towards the
Maryland, we thank you so much.
Republican Congress that isn't sending him anything that's palatable. You've always got some poison pill locked away in it. Speaking of the candidate for president, he apparently thinks it is too late for them to do another debate.
And they would like, just announced a little while ago as I was coming off the plane, they would like to do another debate. I've already done two. One with Crooked Joe Biden at CNN, and the other one with Kamala on ABC. CNN was very fair, I thought. Joe was driven out of the race. It was a coup, by the way, but he was driven out of the race.
Coup.
And they've been widely criticized by the radical left lunatics for all of the fairness. They were very fair. In other words, they won't be fair again because they took a lot of abuse from the radical.
What?
ABC was 3-on-1, but I was given credit for having done a very, very good job. I appreciate that. We did a great job. It was 3-on-1. The problem with another debate is that it's just too late. Voting has already started. She's had her chance to do it with Fox. You know, Fox invited us on, and I waited, and they turned it down. They turned it down, but now she wants to do a debate right before the election with CNN because she's losing badly. You know, it's like a fighter. She sees the polls. She sees what's happening. She's losing badly, but it's like a fighter who goes into the...
Pull the polls ever up.
The first thing he says is, I want a rematch. I want a rematch.
So he also apparently stated that he's not going to run again if he loses in 2024. Now, I completely doubt that. I believe it is 100% a lie on his part. I absolutely believe that he will be the presumptive 2028 nominee when he loses in November. But he says he's not going to run again.
Live now from Fox. I'm your host, Carl Lahada. We are talking politics now, and let's take a look over there at the White House in Washington, D.C. We're just 44 days away from the November election, and there are plenty of political headlines to get into. The latest today comes from former President Donald Trump. In an interview that aired today, he told TV host Cheryl Atkinson that he will likely not run again in 2028 if he loses to Kamala Harris in November, something that is echoed here in this tweet from the
YouTube.
Now, Trump will turn 82 in the year 2028, a year old.
I absolutely believe he will still run for president at the age of 82. This motherfucker is not going to stop. We are not going to be finished with. Even if he doesn't actually eventually run, he is still going to act like he's going to run, and he's going to control the Republican Party up until...
older than President Biden is now. Here to talk more politics with us is a national political reporter with Bloomberg, Stephanie Lai. Stephanie, good to see you on this Sunday. Now, it may not come as a surprise that Trump said he won't run in 2028 because this is, well, his first time running for president. But were you surprised that he actually came out and said that out loud?
I wasn't what I expected out of this Sunday morning, certainly, but I don't think what he's saying is all that surprising. As you know, he's run for office now 3 times, and this last election cycle has brought forth 2 assassination attempts. And as you noted earlier, he'll be 82 by the time that 2028 rolls around. And so, for someone in his position, it just doesn't seem to quite make a lot of sense. And I think what he's sort of alluding to in that statement is that we have to go out and vote. And he's telling his supporters, he's rallying his supporters to send him back into the White House this time around because he doesn't necessarily know if he'll want to run again in 2028.
If anything, it could also come off as a strategy to kind of, light the fire.
Does she have eyebrows? This is the question that needs answering. Yes, there is some sort of eyebrow there. She is not an ugly woman. I really like her outfit. You have less eyebrows than her. Maybe she genuinely, like, you know, doesn't have a lot of hair. This is wild. I was a little taken aback by the lack of eyebrows as well. Maybe it's a fashion choice. Maybe she's disgusted by eyebrows, and that's like her thing, and she doesn't like them, so she. Hey, it's good evening. Kanye, good evening. Welcome. Get me sidetracked talking about eyebrows. I got some bushy ass motherfucking eyebrows. Okay, we're gonna go down to Georgia, where the election board approved a measure that says that ballots must be hand counted.
Today, the Georgia Election Board decided on rule changes less than a month before early voting begins. The Republican majority board approved hand counting ballots in a 3-2 vote. The new rule requires that paper ballots be counted at each polling place by 3 separate poll workers until all 3 counts are the same. The board will vote on other rules such as absentee ballot tracking. These measures could cost up to $4 per voter.
What? Cost $4 per voter. And here's the thing is, like, if they're going to hand count all the ballots, it's going to take fucking forever. We are not going to know the winner of Georgia for days, maybe weeks. Finally got the article up. I can't get the full article because New York Times is a bitch. Even with my ad blockers, I'm signed in. Some Palm Beach ballots misspelled Tim Walz's name as Tom. Officials in Palm Beach County, Florida said that they had emailed 257 ballots to overseas voters before catching the error and correcting it. We're going to have a mess of an election this year. Are you guys prepared? And it could very well be very close. So close that it could come down to the one electoral vote in Nebraska.
Finn, let's discuss Senator Lindsey Graham's visit to Nebraska this week in regards to pushing for a winner-take-all system when it comes to the state's 5 electoral votes. 5 Republican lawmakers from Nebraska are also pushing for this, but remind us which states sort of do this hybrid and why and what it would take for that to change.
Well, Nebraska, too. The Nebraska 2nd District has 1 electoral vote. And that area, that blue dot, if you will, is a very more traditionally Democratic voting section of a very red state. But that 1 electoral vote is part of one of the paths to 270 on the electoral map for the Harris campaign. And if it is a close race, and then we do see in the polling data that we've seen this week in these key battleground states, it could, I want to emphasize could, come down to 1 electoral vote. Therefore, by changing that, by eradicating, if you will, that 1 blue dot, that 1 electoral vote, it gives the Republicans and Trump an advantage on that map. So that's why there's been such an interest by Trump allies. That's why we've seen Senator Graham, who is an advisor to the former president, go down there. And I think that that's something that we need to watch, because if that changes, it does it's a little bit like Jenga in terms of the strategic map for Democrats.
Ben Gomez, thank you.
It is bullshit. And to do this close to the election. Old Lady Graham was on NBC, Meet the Press this morning, touting his plan to pull some election hijinks.
For years. It is a very close election. 63 days ago, Chuck Schumer led a coup to overthrow Joe Biden, and he's telling me or any other Republican what we should be doing. If they change the law in Nebraska, it won't be on the phone in the middle of the night. It will be through a democratic process. The entire federal delegation of Nebraska, House members and 2 senators, want this change. To my friends in Nebraska, that one electoral vote could be the difference between Harris being president or not, and she's a disaster for Nebraska and the world.
I hear you're calling it a coup. Of course, Democrats have the right to change who's at the top of their ticket.
So does Nebraska.
Very quickly, before we get to the Middle East, what do you think the chances are? What's the over-under that this change actually happens in Nebraska?
50-50, down to 2 people.
Okay.
For years. It is a
Fucking wow. I don't think she needs it. I think she's going to pick up North Carolina. Especially given the news that we have had over the last few days in North Carolina. The latest news coming this afternoon. Bombshell as multiple staffers for Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson have resigned.
You're in the CNN newsroom. I'm Jessica Dean in New York, and we begin this hour with breaking news. Multiple staffers have just quit the campaign for Mark Robinson. He's the embattled Republican candidate for governor in North Carolina. The campaign telling CNN tonight 4 of its top operatives have stepped down from their roles. Those exits coming just days after a bombshell CNN report uncovered racist, sexually graphic, and lewd comments made by Robinson on a porn website years ago. Robinson, writing in a statement tonight, quote, "I appreciate the efforts of these team members who have made the difficult choice to step away from the campaign, and I wish them well in their future endeavors. I look forward to announcing new staff roles in the coming days." CNN K-Files senior editor Andrew Kaczynski, who broke this story, joins us now with more details. Andrew, what are you hearing tonight?
Well, that's right. CNN has learned that 4 top...
Yeah, I think it would be different if he was in a winning position, but he honestly looks like he is going to bomb spectacularly, so that's probably why they're jumping ship.
Operatives to Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson's campaign have all resigned in the wake of our story, including the campaign manager, deputy campaign manager, finance director, and top consultant and senior advisor. This is leaving his campaign right now with essentially out a senior staff heading into the last month of the election. And now I think the question is, where does this campaign go from here? On
fake friends
resign, and this is just the latest fallout from that story that we published on Thursday.
Well, right. And when you talked to him, I know you interviewed him. He denied a lot of what you laid in front of him with a lot of evidence. But did you get any indication at that time that there might be changes in his...
Ain't nothing wrong with a little water sports. You guys know I would give anything in the world to piss in Dan Crenshaw's eye hole. Sorry, I hadn't done it in a while.
Campaign, or is this a surprise to you?
Well, it's a surprise to us. We had actually heard rumors ahead of our interview with him, because people might have seen that our story started to leak out before we even published it. Somebody on his campaign staff was leaking that somewhere. And we had heard rumors that some of his campaign staff had resigned. And I asked him directly in that interview, "We've heard that staff on your campaign have resigned." And he said to me in that interview, I believe, that none of his campaign staff had resigned. So since then, I don't know if this happened before then, now we know that in fact all or many of his top operatives on his campaign have just all resigned en masse.
Yeah, we're talking about a senior advisor, the head of the campaign. It's a lot of senior staff members. Andrew, just for people who maybe don't remember all the details, didn't get
people who want to work again,
give us an outline of what you all found.
So we found that between 2008 and 2012, Mark Robinson commented on the forums of a pornographic website where he called himself a, quote, black Nazi. He said that he preferred Hitler to U.S. Leadership. One of the most disturbing comments we found was him saying that he
nude Africa.
Stating slavery. Robinson has also run as a very harsh anti-transgender candidate for office. And we found a comment in our story where he said he enjoyed watching transgender pornography. He's running as a socially conservative candidate, very anti-abortion. We found a comment where he said that he didn't care if a woman had an abortion. There was a lot of very sexually graphic stuff that we couldn't even publish in our story. And then we
He's also a preacher.
A whole number of comments like where he said he got sexual gratification from a memory of spying on women in public showers as a teenager. So just a whole lot of disturbing stuff there that we were able to trace to Robinson because he's used both the same username all across the web.
He had his picture on his profile, used the same username across multiple sites, has the same email
that he used on that forum, that his name was listed on that forum, a whole bunch of stuff that pointed to that user being Mark Robinson and Mark Robinson only.
Yeah, it is incredible reporting.
Incredible. Media wins. Good evening. Donald Trump called him Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids. Martin Luther King III has responded to the Robinson accusations.
Martin Luther King III, son of civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr., making a stop here in North Carolina today. He spent the morning talking to voters in Rocky Mount at a breakfast and ballots event. We asked King about those allegations reported in the CNN article that Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson had to say about his father.
The rhetoric of Mark Robinson is beyond dangerous. In fact, some of it seems to be a little bit insane. And it's very difficult to understand how North Carolina allowed this kind of leadership to emerge, because he is a lieutenant governor.
You can learn more about King's visit right now on our website at abc11.com.
The Trump campaign apparently standing by him. Reports came out on Thursday that they were asking him to step aside in North Carolina because they were afraid he would hurt their chances. But now they are defending him somewhat since he missed the deadline to drop out of the race.
News I wanted to talk about out of North Carolina with Mark Robinson. I'm sure you've heard about it. Governor Walz is also in this area. He just mentioned it at a rally this afternoon. I don't know that you've gotten a chance to talk about it. So I wanted to ask you, are you comfortable with Mark Robinson as the Republican nominee for governor in North Carolina?
Well, look, the allegations are pretty far out there, of course, but I know that allegations aren't necessarily reality. And what I'd say is it's all...
You know a little something about that, don't you, JD?
He's going to be their governor, and whether he wants to stay in the race, I'll let them make that decision. I'm here in Pennsylvania to try to make the case that Kamala Harris's policies have failed, and Donald Trump, I think, will be a much better president for the people of Pennsylvania, and that's what we're here to do.
Do you believe him that those were not his posts?
I don't not believe him. I don't believe him. I just think that you have to let these things sometimes play out in the court of public opinion. He's going to make whatever arguments he wants.
I don't not believe him.
Media and others are going to investigate these comments further. I just think that fundamentally it's Mark Robinson and the people of North Carolina that get to decide whether he's their governor, and that's what we're going to focus on.
Last thing on that, will you campaign with him, or are you comfortable campaigning with him at this point?
We don't have any plans to campaign with him. When we go to places, typically we hold our own events and try to focus on driving home the message that Kamala Harris has driven up the price of groceries and housing, and Donald Trump actually delivered really solid prosperity, but also low inflation. We'll keep on.
Oh, now come on. That bullshit don't work on us. You think we just fell out of a coconut tree?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Talking about those issues, but we don't have any plans to campaign with him.
Shut up, Lester.
About breaking news and
shut up, Lester.
NBC.
Miss your balls. How are you? So glad to see you tonight. I think JD Vance definitely wears eyeliner. Speaking of full of shit, apparently Joe Biden a little full of shit when it comes to China, caught on a hot mic during the Quad Summit.
US President Joe Biden has had a hot mic moment, declaring China is testing Australia, America, India and Japan. Australia's Prime Minister joined the leaders at the President's old high school, our PM vowing the Quad Alliance can stand the test of political change.
The Quad Squad unite.
The Quad Squad.
This alliance is here to stay.
The Quad, will it survive regardless of the outcome?
Joe Biden has said all politics is personal, and this summit
he just hugged a fascist.
Leaders at his old high school in Delaware.
I'm absolutely certain that my headmaster would be shocked that I find myself here as well.
China was the focus.
Challenges will come. The world will change because the Quad is here to stay.
After cameras stopped rolling, Joe Biden said the quiet part out loud.
China continues to behave aggressively, testing us all across the region. And it's true in the South China Sea, the East China Sea, South Asia.
Okay, so I didn't pre-watch Andy this. They meant to do that. They don't fucking... this was not caught on a hot mic. He meant to say this. This is planned.
And the Taiwan Straits.
And if China's president
is also looking to buy himself some diplomatic space, in my view, to aggressively pursue China's interest.
Philippine Coast Guard vessels were recently rammed by China. Next year, Australian Border Force will join with Coast Guards from Japan and India on American ships in the South China Sea, and there'll be more to
Next, good evening.
Fishing.
The sum of the four countries is more than any individual nation can do.
The Quad offered health help too to prevent cervical cancer in the Indo-Pacific, and Twiggy Forrest is chipping in.
There's truly nothing beyond our capacity when we act.
The fuck did he just say? Cervical cancer on the high seas, and Twiggy Forrest is chipping in. Am I having a stroke? What?
Were recently rammed by China. Next year, Australian Border Force will join.
Rammed by China.
With Coast Guards from Japan and India on American ships in the South China Sea, and there'll be more to tackle illegal fishing.
The sum of the four countries is more than any individual nation can do.
The Quad offered health help too to prevent cervical cancer in the Indo-Pacific, and Twiggy Forrest is chipping in.
There's truly nothing beyond our...
What is Twiggy Forrest? Okay. Cervical cancer in the Indo-Pacific Sea. Are there a lot of people getting cervical cancer that are out at sea in the Indo-Pacific? There are a lot of pirates? And what is Twiggy Forrest?
And India on American ships in the South China Sea, and there'll be more to tackle illegal fishing.
The sum of the four countries is more than any individual nation can do.
The Quad offered health help too
to
prevent cervical cancer in the Indo-Pacific, and Twiggy Forrest is chipping in.
Okay, in the Indo-Pacific. You didn't say sea. I added that. But the whole thing is fucking confusing, yes. But what the fuck is a Twiggy Forrest?
Nothing beyond our capacity when we act together.
So the Quad stands here united, sending a strong message from here on Joe Biden's home turf. The US president wants this alliance to be part of his legacy.
Okay. Twiggy Forrest is an Australian businessman. John Andrew Henry Forrest AO, nicknamed Twiggy, an Australian businessman. He is best known as the former CEO of Fortescue Metals Group and has other interests in the mining industry and in cattle stations.
Come next year's meeting, he and at least one other leader will no longer be.
I didn't think I should Google that.
Mr. President, is this a tough goodbye?
Never goodbye. He's at the end of the telephone. I get him easy.
Is it a tough goodbye for the Quad for you, Mr. President? Will you be sad to no longer be part of it?
I'm still going to see these guys. I'm not going away.
In Delaware, Jonathan Kersley. No.
Go the fuck away. Go enjoy your goddamn life. Go fuck Jill, dude. She is not a bad looking woman. Leave us the fuck alone. Any Janet Jackson fans in the crowd? I hope he hits that. I hope she's a satisfied woman. Good on
sexual
them.
Anarchy.
Go home and get that 24/7 play. Was that the song? I was trying to transition to Janet Jackson and didn't. I don't remember the name of the song. Janet Jackson has apologized after her comments on Kamala Harris's race. In an interview with The Guardian, Jackson falsely asserted that Harris is not black. Janet Jackson apologized Sunday after saying in a recent interview that Kamala Harris is not black. CSW, good evening. Jackson's comments are based on misinformation she received from other people, according to her agent. Jackson apologizes for any confusion caused and acknowledges the importance of accurate representation in public discourse. This is according to her agent. Janet's barely black. We appreciate the opportunity to address this and will remain committed to promoting unity. She deeply respects Vice President Kamala Harris and her accomplishments as a black and Indian woman. During an interview with The Guardian published on Saturday, ostensibly to promote the second leg of her concert tour, Jackson claimed she heard Harris was not black and that the Vice President's father was white. Well, you know what they supposedly said. She's not black, Jackson said of Harris. When asked about her thoughts on the 2024 presidential race, that's what I heard, that she's Indian. Her father's white, Jackson added after the reporter challenged her claims. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. I was told they discovered her father was white. Many people on Twitter pointed out that, he has nieces and nephews that I'm sure she would consider black that are milky white. Michael's daughter is a musician. She has been on several TV shows. She actually is in a grunge band. She does like grunge covers and shit. Macklemore got people chanting "Fuck America" on stage at a Seattle concert. Macklemore's landed himself in the middle of an all-out online war, with people firing off at the rapper online for chanting "Fuck America" in the middle of his recent show. The singer-songwriter performed at the Palestine Will Live Forever Festival in Seattle on Saturday night, benefiting a charity known as the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees.
Straight up, say it. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna stop you. Yeah, fuck America.
Saying love it or leave it isn't very freedom-minded, CSW. Just pointing that out. Freedom is when you stand up for principles. Macklemore, of course, being outspoken about Palestinian rights and the war in Gaza. Meanwhile, Hezbollah firing off hundreds of rockets declaring an open-ended battle on Israel.
Air raid sirens have been sounding across northern Israel, sending thousands fleeing after Hezbollah fired over 100 rockets into the country from southern Lebanon. Some landed close to the Israeli city of Haifa, the military saying that rockets had been fired towards civilian areas, pointing to a possible escalation after previous barrages had mainly been aimed at military targets. Israel has been carrying out hundreds of strikes on Lebanon in retaliation, Lebanon saying 3 people at least have been killed in the south of the country. Here's Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking a short while ago.
In recent days, we have landed a series of blows on Hezbollah that it could have never imagined. If Hezbollah did not get the message, I assure you that it will get the message.
Okay, so I have seen that they are denying that the pager attack was them, despite the fact that they informed Washington on Tuesday that the pager attack was them, and they have published article after article about how they manufactured the pagers that they sold to Hezbollah, that they were able to detonate. I saw that the Israeli government is denying it today. But then here's Bibi like, hey, we struck you.
We are determined to safely return our residents to their homes in the north. No country can tolerate attacks on its citizens, attacks on its cities. And we, the state of Israel, will not tolerate it either. We'll do whatever it takes to restore security.
Well, for more, I'm joined now in the studio by Shirley Sitbon from our France 24 news desk. Good to have you with us, Shirley.
DJ, welcome in. Thank you for the resub.
How much risk is there of this conflict descending at this point into all-out war?
There's clearly a risk, and the threats we're hearing and all of the warning signals from around the world, I mean, they show that the situation is extremely tangible. There has been troop movements, there's been these firings, the Israelis saying they're ready to go further. Now, we've heard some people across the world saying, well, the Israelis say they don't want war, but they've attacked Hezbollah in recent days. But then again, the Israelis see this as a global war. They consider they're already in a sort of war with Hezbollah for almost a year now. And for them, the recent attacks were were just part of this war. We're not a reason to escalate, but they believe that they just want, that's what they say, they want the firing of rockets and missiles towards Israel to stop, and they're pushing Hezbollah to the end. That's the policy of the Israeli government, saying that military pressure perhaps will end all this. And on the Lebanese side, we've heard Hassan Nasrallah in recent days saying, hey, we're ready. If the Israelis want to escalate this and to bring ground troops into Lebanon, we'll destroy every tank that crosses the border. We're ready for them. So we're hearing this rhetoric on both sides. Then again, wondering if it's just some kind of very dangerous bluffing, if it's serious. The Israelis saying they're fearing...
I don't think they're bluffing.
...invasion and incursion, infiltration, like what happened from Gaza on October 7, but from the Lebanese side, maybe from Syria. We're hearing that Israelis are also preparing for a ground invasion of southern Lebanon. Some Israelis officials saying Israel should have never left the south of Lebanon. What's going to happen next? So yes, of course, there's this rhetoric, and extremely serious, very dangerous. Israel's allies saying this should really stop, calling on everyone to de-escalate the tension because nothing good can come out of this. We're not really sure of what their interest is. Many in Israel say the Israeli army doesn't have the capacity to both fight in Gaza and infiltrate the Lebanese border. It's too much.
I believe that.
The Israeli army, of course, the Lebanese are also against this and are fearing and are angry at the current situation. Let's remind that the Hezbollah is saying that it's fighting Israel because it is backing the Palestinians in Gaza in their war with Israel. And the Israelis are saying they're fighting Hezbollah because they want to end the rocket fire from Lebanon. So both sides saying that they have legitimate reasons for...
They're wanting to invade Lebanon.
...countries around and in the world saying, no, we have to stop this. This can only lead to more deaths.
Now, this latest barrage of cross-border rocket fire has affected thousands of people in Israel and in southern Lebanon. What's the feeling among both countries' civilian populations right now?
Well, On the Lebanese side, we've heard them in recent days, extremely angry, fearful. The Israelis have targeted Hezbollah, but civilians have been killed in Lebanon, and there's this fear generated by the attacks on the communication devices used by Hezbollah. Of course, at the beginning, Israel did not take responsibility for this, but the reaction we heard from Netanyahu saying they've had several attacks against Hezbollah, something they've never experienced before, something that was a terrible blow, seeming to refer to that attack. Anyway, the Lebanese are extremely angry and fearful, saying this is useless, a ground invasion, any type of missile fire toward Lebanon, and the war in general is basically useless, and it will be devastating if it continues and if it escalates. On the Israeli side, people are divided, very tired, very fearful of what is happening. Some protesting, saying that if there is an escalation, well, the hostages held in Hamas, their release will not be negotiated. This is just fading away. All of the hopes are fading away, and many believing that an escalation will only lead to more deaths, and they're not ready for it. Other people believe that what the government is saying, that this is the only way to stop the firing towards Israel, the only way to bring back some security, because the residents were unable to go back to their homes in the north. So the population is divided, extremely concerned by the situation now.
Shirley Sitbon from the France 24 news desk, thank you very much.
Great reporting by France 24. Because unfortunately, we're not going to get any reporting out of Gaza from Al Jazeera. Israeli forces took Al Jazeera reporters off the air during a live broadcast.
حاليا الجنود يقتربون من المنطقة التي نتواجد فيها.
The reporters were on the street. The IDF raided their offices.
العد مصادرة تسمح بلا مشكلة. طب ناخذها احنا بنروح. إذا بتسمح يا عمي بنروح بنطفي.
انت قلت لنا انه بنقدر نشتغل هون بالكاميرات.
إذا لا نسمع زميل وليد العمري لأن
Walid al-Omari.
إسرائيلي قوات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي
تسيطر. If you guys have watched any Al Jazeera, you recognize him.
جوار المديري.
Earlier, Israeli forces stormed Al Jazeera's office in the occupied West Bank. Heavily armored and masked Israeli soldiers raided the bureau, ordering a 45-day office closure. They had a judicial court order to shut down Al Jazeera for 45 days. Take all the cameras and leave the office now, he's saying. At 3 a.m., Israeli forces made all the staff leave the office and surrounded the building for several hours. Then soldiers fired tear gas around the Al Jazeera office. Journalists vow to keep reporting on Palestinian rights. This is a blatant attack on the Al Jazeera channel and Al Jazeera network and those who are working with them, as well as on the freedom of speech and the task of delivering the truth. This is an attack that aims to obscure the truth. In May of 2024, Israeli forces shut down another one of Al Jazeera's offices. They raided the Jerusalem office and banned Al Jazeera from working out of it. Israel keeps attacking journalists. Al Jazeera operates with a license from the Palestinian Ministry of Information. I was one of the ones who granted the license when I was the Minister of Information in the National Unity Government. Therefore, Israel does not have the right to close a bureau it did not license. Israeli forces even prevented Al Jazeera staff from using their cars, leaving them stranded in an attempt to restrict their reporting. They also destroyed a poster of their colleague, Shireen Abu Akleh. So I am still pissed about the killing of Shireen Abu Akleh, also an American citizen that the U.S. has done nothing about. Shot and killed while she was reporting in May of 2022. Why are you shutting down journalists? You feel you have something you need to hide? John Fetterman was on Meet the Press this morning, raving about Israel's attack that killed civilians in Lebanon.
This week, as you know, a new front opened in the war in the Middle East, jeopardizing ceasefire talks. Senator Bernie Sanders accused Prime Minister Netanyahu of sabotaging a deal. Take a look at what he said.
Every time a deal appears close, Netanyahu moves the goalposts, introducing new demands and torpedoing the deal. It is clear to me that Netanyahu is prolonging the war in order to cling to power.
Yep.
Senator, you have stood firmly behind Israel, but do you agree with any part of what your colleague, Senator Sanders, said there?
No, not at all. And I want to be very clear. I thought what Israel chose to do about blowing up the pagers and then walkie-talkies, and then after targeting and eliminating membership and leadership of Hezbollah, I absolutely support that. In fact, if anything, I love it. And Israel demonstrated that they will not allow terrorists not to be held accountable. And I fully support that. And it's not about nothing that has what my colleague has said.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated.
Shut up, Lester. Shut up, Fetterman. Libertad, good evening. Just in the last couple of hours, Israel with a new bone-chilling proposal. They want to mass expel civilians from Gaza, which is what they call ethnic cleansing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is considering implementing a plan that would involve forcing all Palestinian civilians to leave northern Gaza and then refusing to allow any aid in to the remaining people, laying siege to the area, according to a former general for the IDF. News that Netanyahu was considering the plan was first reported by CNN on Sunday. The plan was formulated by a group of retired Israeli generals led by Giora Eiland, who was head of Israel's National Security Council from 2004 to 2006. Does not address whether Palestinians would be allowed to return to northern Gaza in the future if Israel was to carry out the plan. You have forced them to where? And you know they're not going to let them back. And they want to destroy their homes. They want to expel them from their homes, destroy their homes, and not let them back. That is literally called ethnic cleansing. Some people might call it a genocide. Gaius Winston, good evening. Avalon, good evening. Hayes, did I tell you good evening? Libertad, my friend. That was just a horrible run of news stories. I should probably get a little more high. If you don't like the crime section of the show, then probably give us about 10 minutes. We don't have that many stories to do. No, they're not going to let the Palestinians into Israel. They're going to force them into Lebanon, which they're also going to wage war on. They're going to force them into southern Lebanon, which they're also going to occupy. And they're going to do everything they can to try to go the U.S. into the war. So that the U.S. vetoes whatever happens at the United Nations, protects them, covers up any war crimes, and it's disgusting. Or you think they're just going to force them into the sea? This is the moral failing of our lifetimes. Well, let's go from that moral failing to the moral failing of the U.S. here in our domestic policy. The fact that, we have way too many guns on the streets is also a moral failing. Just another day in mass shooting USA. We're going to heavy still. Good evening. We're going to Birmingham, Alabama, where a mass shooting may have been sparked by a murder for hire plot.
20 people were shot last night in an entertainment district in Birmingham, Alabama. 4 people were killed, at least 17 others injured in what police are calling a targeted shooting. This happened just after 11 p.m. in Birmingham's 5 Points South neighborhood. Tonight, ABC's Mike Dubusky has a plea from authorities who need help finding multiple suspects.
Police in Birmingham, Alabama are searching for what they believe are multiple shooters who opened fire on a crowd Saturday night around 11 o'clock.
Approximately over 100 shell casings were collected, along with numerous other pieces of evidence.
It happened in the city's 5 Points South area. No
Jesus Christ.
Restaurants and bars. The area is normally busy on Saturday nights. Investigators say multiple shooters pulled up in a car, got out, and fired shots before driving away. While several innocent people were hit by bullets, police say they do not believe this was random.
We believe the individual that was targeted is among the deceased. We believe that there was a hit, if you will, on that particular person, as far as, someone was willing to pay money to have that person killed.
3 people died at the scene, and another victim died at the hospital. At least 17 others were injured, some with life-threatening injuries.
It was very devastating, very, and sad. Like the grieving type screaming, like, I know someone is hurt or have passed away.
Birmingham's mayor is calling on laws to be changed to give law enforcement the tools to get guns off the streets.
We find ourselves in 2024 where gun violence is at an epidemic level and an epidemic crisis in our country. Is it solvable? The answer is yes. Does it require everyone to come together? The answer is also yes.
Local police are working with the
Good luck with that.
ATF on the investigation. Authorities are asking for the public's help and urging businesses in the area that have surveillance cameras to contact them. Mike Dubusky, ABC News, New York.
I've totally parked in that parking garage and gone to concerts. Might have been a murder for hire plot. We've got new details on the wild shooting that took place in Kentucky on Thursday.
And a former homicide prosecutor in Orange County, California. He's just written The Book of Murder, a prosecutor's journey through love and death, and he's kind enough to help me sort through this now. Matt, dear God, I mean, you've heard the details I just laid out. You heard the interview that I just did with Mike Watts, the Letcher County Circuit Court clerk, with those details that he said there is a video, that he has heard the details of the video, that the sheriff was seated across from the judge, that the judge handed the sheriff his phone, the sheriff looked at the phone, put it down on the desk, stood up, walked around, unloaded 8 bullets into the judge, picked the phone up again of the judge, looked at it again, put it down, and left the courthouse, only to return back in the front door of the courthouse, go into the courtroom, and lay down his service weapon. What do you make of the series of events and the case itself?
Well, first of all, actually, that was a fantastic interview that you just did, because that man, it was palpable, his grief. And
why didn't we watch that instead?
Said both of these are honorable men.
Let's get that one going. Purgatorus. You sold me on it. Let's watch that one instead. Fuck you. What do you know about anything? Trump was given the handcuffs used on would-be assassin. I was like, this wasn't that long ago. That story was just posted a day ago. Where the fuck? But did they didn't post the other part of it. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
I want to bring in Mike Watts.
There we go.
County Circuit Court clerk, and he has known both Judge Mullins and Sheriff Steins for years and considered both men a friend.
Okay, this happened in Letcher County. A sheriff goes into the judge's office, tells the staff that he wants to speak to the judge alone, goes into the judge's chamber, shows the judge, or the judge shows him a phone, or he shows the judge. You get the details here. They're gonna go over it right now. But this happened in Kentucky on Thursday afternoon.
This is such an incredibly tragic story and so confusing. Mike, thank you for joining me tonight, and I am so sorry for your loss and what your community is going through right now. Can you walk us through the day and the hours leading?
They had lunch together that day.
What these two men did?
I have no information at all about what occurred or why it occurred. I know our county is devastated. We've lost 2 county officials, personal friends of mine for years. I've worked with both men closely throughout their careers.
Was there any animosity?
This is Sheriff Steins. This is Judge Mullen.
Was there any acrimony? Was there anything that you knew about that did not seem right about the relationship between these two men?
None at all. None that I knew of.
The rumor going around, which is completely unconfirmed, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to say it, but it is 100% a rumor, is that the judge was having some sort of inappropriate relationship with the sheriff's daughter, who was under 18. I'm from Kentucky. The legal age of consent is 16. As I understand it, the daughter is 16 or 17. So take that for what you will.
Didn't know of anything that.
Once again, just a rumor.
So, Mike, I just detailed.
Oh, okay. Also, to add to this, the sheriff had a deputy that had been fired from the sheriff's department, and currently there is a lawsuit against the sheriff's department and the sheriff because the deputy had offered a defendant, a convict, someone who had time to serve and was on home confinement and couldn't pay for the ankle bracelet. They charged for the ankle bracelet. Couldn't pay for the home confinement service. Offered them to let them have the services in exchange for sexual favors. And apparently that took place inside this judge's chambers. So take the relationship that is completely a rumor, and we have no concrete facts about it, but we do have concrete facts about the lawsuit involving the sheriff and a former deputy. The judge is not alleged to have done anything inappropriate in that lawsuit. However, when the deputy raped the woman, did it in this judge's chambers. Okay, does that catch everybody up on the 411 on what went down? Letcher County, Kentucky. This is Eastern Kentucky, right on the Tennessee Kentucky state line.
Was there any animosity? Was there any acrimony? Was there anything that you knew about that did not seem right about the relationship between these two men?
None at all. None that I knew of. I didn't know of anything that.
So, Mike, I just detailed that there had been this deposition that the sheriff had sat for about this terrible crime that one of the sheriff's deputies had pleaded guilty to, and that potentially the judge had some information. Does any of this comport with your knowledge of maybe some consternation between the sheriff and the judge because this lawsuit was ongoing?
Not that I know of. No. I know both.
So the sheriff didn't. Go ahead.
Okay, so the sheriff was just deposed in the lawsuit I was mentioning on Monday.
I know both men personally. That they didn't. Either one told me anything that they had a problem with the other, that anything was going on. Both of them has been good for our county and community. The whole county is just devastated over it. Both men have been active in the community.
Is the whole county, including you, completely confounded by how or why this happened?
Of course, yes.
Nobody has a clue.
No one has a clue that I know of. We're just, we're all like everyone else. We're just.
Can you?
Would like to.
The local paper. I'm sorry, we've got some crosstalk because of a delay, but I need to ask you. The local paper said that there's video in the judge's office, perhaps even in chambers, because the local paper says the video shows what happened, and I just laid out that both men looked at their phones right before the shooting, and that the sheriff came around Judge Mullen's desk and opened fire 8 times. Is that accurate? Do you know of the video showing this?
I know of the video. I've not seen the video. I'm not sure what it showed.
Have you discussed the video and the contents of the video with anybody else, court employees, witnesses, anyone else who can corroborate that, yes, indeed, that is what happened?
That's my understanding.
This interview wasn't any good.
So just to be clear, it is your understanding that that is exactly what played out. What the
he ain't telling us shit.
Reporting is shown on a video. You're telling me tonight that that series of events, in your understanding, did play out like that.
Some of it did, I think. I
what?
Think, from my understanding,
they raved about this interview, and he has said, fuck all of nothing. I noticed they had booked him into the Leslie County jail. They took him the next county over. I guess because, he used to run this jail.
Judge Mullins handed the sheriff his phone. The sheriff looked at both phones. He had 2 phones in one phone in each hand. He reviewed the phones. He laid the judge's phone back down and then stood up.
They had been seated prior to that when this phone exchange happened?
No, far away from the Capitol. And
was there an audible argument? Was there yelling? There was some reporting yesterday that they had been arguing. Is that what happened, or was it all?
Oh, fuck, Flash. If he had 2 phones, if one was the daughter's phone, he was looking to see if the messages matched. Oh, shit. That would go with that story, but we know what we know about the sex abuse scandal is enough that could lead to an argument where one would shoot the other. So I don't want to speculate on this. Once again, this comes from like a Facebook comment.
Quiet.
I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I do not know. The Kentucky State Police is investigating the crime. We all were looking for answers. I've not only lost a county judge, our district judge, but our county sheriff and 2 personal friends.
Was the door to Chambers open to the staffers
No.
in the anteroom?
Nope. They closed it. I think they locked it.
Did the
both of them look like
staffers
creeps
who were in the outside room outside of Chambers, did they report hearing anything prior to the shots?
No argument. No.
And what about just conversation? Was there a normal conversation in normal tones prior to the shots?
They couldn't hear. The sheriff walked in and asked whoever was in the chambers that he needed to speak with the judge in private, and the doors were closed.
Flash, you're totally a Fed. That's how I know you're a Fed. You wanted to pull you all saw it. He had a gun.
And they couldn't hear any other conversation after that, even that there was conversation?
No, the next thing they heard is gunshots, I think, and they didn't realize if they were from the outside or if someone had came in or what. They evacuated.
Well, I'm sure a judge in Letcher County, Kentucky is carrying a gun.
And then I was informed.
What does the video?
I'm not
what
sure.
does the
I've
video
not seen
show
the
next after? After the sheriff allegedly fired 8 shots, killing Judge Mullins. What does the video show him doing right after that?
Again, I have not seen the video.
Why did it take him 8 shots?
What have you been told it shows?
That he picked up the phone again, the judge's phone, and looked at it and laid it back down and walked out.
So after the shots were fired,
I can't wait to find out what's on that fucking
he
phone.
did not check the judge. He picked up the judge's phone off the desk again, looked at it, and then walked out of the office?
You know, I don't know Purgatoris. I haven't lived there in like 15 years.
What did he say to the people outside the office the moment he came out?
There's no one there, I don't think.
And so where did he walk to after he left Chambers?
He exited the courthouse.
He didn't come into contact with anyone in the courthouse until he came outside on the front steps?
Fun story. You see this street right here? This is Whitesburg, Kentucky. That's the name of the town. I was doing a ride along with the Kentucky State Police when I was the news director of East Kentucky Broadcasting. I was smoking a cigarette in the back of the cruiser, and they had the window rolled down for me. There were 2 cops up front. And I was like, guys, what would you think if like I hopped through the window, just started running down the street like, you'll never catch me? They were like, we would like pay you to do that right now. I'm lazy though, so I did.
He came out a side entrance, turned and walked back in the front entrance.
When he walked back in the front entrance, what happened after that? What was he doing going back into the courthouse?
The first responders were responding. Of course, they probably thought he was there to assist them. Until he walked back in the courthouse, back into the courtroom, it's my understanding, and laid his revolver or his pistol down on one of the tables.
Actually saying base,
Courthouse,
Oregon.
Is that his service revolver you're saying, or his service pistol?
In the courtroom. He walked back in the courtroom. From my understanding, again, I didn't see the video, so I'm not. It was just,
See, this is different than what I heard. I heard he came straight out of the chambers and put his hands up. So they're telling a different story.
it's my understanding that he walked back in the courtroom and took his pistol out and laid it on one of the attorney tables.
And then surrendered to the responders who were in that courtroom?
That's my understanding.
And can you just tell me again, was it his service pistol or was it his personal weapon?
I do not know.
Was he in uniform?
He was not.
He wasn't in uniform.
Was he on duty?
Interesting.
He was on duty 24 hours, 7 days a week.
He's a sheriff.
Honorable
Did it-
men.
These are both honorable men. I bet we're getting ready to find out that like neither of them were all that honorable. I will absolutely update you on this. This is one of my news stories I'm going to keep up with. I am absolutely invested in what the fuck was on that phone.
These both are honorable. They were elected by the good citizens of Letcher County. They both served admirably in
He's
the
cross-eyed.
positions they held. Sheriff Steins fought the drug epidemic with everything he had in him. He worked 24 hours, 7 days a week. Judge Mullins was a very strong component of, instead of incarcerating individuals, after years being on the bench, he realized that it wasn't working, and he was working along with Sheriff Steins to get people in treatment and giving them a second chance.
I bet they were running some kind of scheme.
One of my big questions has been, because the judge had a different viewpoint on incarcerating people with drug offenses and favored instead rehabilitation, was that a point of contention between the sheriff and the judge, or did they work together in concert on that theory?
They worked together, hand in hand. Sheriff Steins.
I bet they were getting some kind of kickbacks.
He would offer people to come into his office and voluntarily go and not be arrested to treatment.
Do you suspect then that any consternation that may have led to this shooting?
It is such big business, Mary Jane. It is such the rehabilitation centers that they divert people to. Oh my God, the contracts they're getting. It is like, that is a scandal of the 21st century. And like, I don't know if that one has been busted open yet. It is such, and there are, I know this because there was this guy that was the editor of the newspaper I worked at, and he went on to run this company, or he was a partner in this company that took people that were in rehab and had them work on like construction jobs and shit, or like cleaning jobs, and it was basically exploiting the labor for as cheap as they possibly could, and acting like they were like doing it as a tax write-off as well as PR for like, hey, look how good we are because we're helping these people that are in rehab. And I thought that was like the scummiest fucking thing. My aunt, who married the dude, doesn't speak to me anymore, and I really hate that because I really liked her.
Then is likely from the other issue, and that was what the federal lawsuit was about, and the criminal case with the other bailiff and sheriff's deputy. Is that what you suspect this is then about?
I have no idea. I don't want to speculate. There's two families that's lost loved ones.
No, we want you to speculate. That's what we're here for.
Lost. We're strong.
We want the tea.
We've been through a lot. We had a July 2022 flood that devastated the county. Both men delivered supplies to flood victims. I have no idea what happened.
He has no idea what happened. I can't believe I went so far out of my way to try to get this interview. Let's go to Georgia. You remember the school shooting that took place? The mother of the school shooter has been arrested, not in connection to the shooting. The mother of the Appalachia High School shooting suspect charged with taping her mom to a chair and leaving her. Marcy Gray, the mother of the suspected Appalachia High School shooter, facing charges after being accused of taping her elderly mother. She is kind of cute, though. Yeah, I'll give you that. The mother of the suspected Appalachia High School shooter is facing charges after being accused of taping her elderly mother to a chair and leaving her there for nearly 24 hours. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution received a copy of the indictment report. It showed that it took a whole day before anyone found 74-year-old Deborah Pahamas in her Fitzgerald home in Ben Hill County. The AJC reported that Gray lashed out at her mother because she refused to accompany her to Barrow County, where she allegedly wanted to confront Colin Gray, her ex-husband. Marcy became upset and told Deborah that she was making her go with her because she was going to kill her ex, the AJC said in the indictment report. Deborah stated she refused to go, and Marcy threw her up against the wall, causing a cut on her left wrist. Marcy stated that since Deborah wasn't going, she was going to tie her to a chair and take her phone so she wouldn't call anyone. This happened on November 3rd. So this was before the shooting. Gray was arrested in Barrow County 3 days later after being accused of possessing drugs including fentanyl and meth and damaging her ex-husband's work vehicle. Okay, she might be a little crazy, guys. A little messed out. Also, like, I think the cops call things fentanyl that aren't fentanyl. Yes, the kid had a troubled home life. Hurt people hurt people. For those Barrow County crimes, she was sentenced to 5 years in jail with the first 46 days to be spent in confinement. After sentencing, she was returned to Ben Hill County, where she faced charges regarding her mother's treatment. The AJC reported that although her mother wanted her to face consequences for her actions, she did not want to see Marcy being a felon for the rest of her life. Gray was granted a $5,700 bond. In April, on Monday, the 43-year-old woman was indicted on single counts of exploitation and intimidation of a disabled adult or elderly person, false imprisonment, criminal damage to property in the second degree, and theft. If convicted of felony elder exploitation, she could be facing up to 20 years in prison. The AJC reported that Gray's criminal record spanned over 17 years and 4 counties. There is her son and her ex-husband, both going to spend the rest of their lives in prison. Let's go to Pennsylvania, where we apparently have a wild story about a police chief candidate in Delaware County. This I don't even think I can do this justice here. I'm just gonna let the news report go.
Dramatic moments erupting in Collingdale, Delaware County tonight as tempers flared over a plan to potentially hire this man as police chief. Problem is, he's under criminal investigation. Angry members of the local FOP are fighting the appointment, and some officers wanting to fight him. The controversy boiling over at a borough council meeting tonight. It is Tuesday night, and the big story in Action News is a police chief candidate under fire in Collingdale. The Delaware County District Attorney's Office confirms he is the target of an ongoing criminal investigation, and that has the community on edge. Action News reporter Caroline Goggin.
I like this guy.
Meeting in Collingdale and is live with the full story.
Yet the cop union doesn't like him.
Rick, even before tonight's meeting, the council here in Collingdale made it clear that hiring a new police chief is a public matter, and it's one that will be done during a public meeting. Well, that public meeting was held here in the borough tonight in the building behind me. It was packed with people, standing room only, very heated at times. And after some really tense moments and a 10-minute recess, the meeting was ultimately canceled.
Mr. President, you want to let us speak? No!
It was an incredibly intense meeting inside the Collingdale Borough building tonight. Fireworks flying over the council trying to make a controversial hire to fill the position of police chief.
How dare you even contemplate to put someone under criminal investigation as our chief of police?
In June, despite opposition from residents and some Collingdale police officers,
Do you know anything about the cops?
5-2 to remove police chief Patrick Kilroy. On tonight's agenda, the council was set to finalize the employment of a new chief, Raheem Blandon. The Delaware County Police Union says Blandon is on leave from his job as a Chester police officer and under investigation for alleged misconduct on the force.
He's under active criminal investigation for tipping off a suspect that was wanted in an attempted homicide. He put these SWAT officers at danger.
We caught up with Blandon as he tried to leave the meeting tonight.
I don't know anything about a criminal investigation with CID.
Blandon confirmed he has interviewed for the police chief job in Collingdale and says he's ready to take it, despite backlash from community members.
I just believe that they're making me the focal point, but beyond this is really about, I guess, the council members.
Make a way for the rat. It's coming down.
As Blandon went back into the building, there were tense moments between him and other officers. The night was defined by these kinds of moments, especially when the council president denied union representatives the opportunity to speak during public comment. That led to a 10-minute recess, and ultimately, the meeting was canceled. We tried speaking with the council president about why he believes Blandon is the right person for the job.
No comment.
The mayor of Collingdale expressed her opposition to the proposed hire.
But there's no way we ever should even think about hiring someone that is under investigation.
You're the mayor.
The Delaware County District Attorney's Office has confirmed that Blandon is under investigation. As for the issue of a new police chief here in the borough of Collingdale, that is tabled until the next meeting.
Her name is Caroline Goggins.
Next month. We're live in Collingdale tonight. I'm Caroline Goggin, Channel 6.
Oh, Goggin. Also, I really like this dude. The anchor. Check that mustache out.
Tonight. It is Tuesday night, and the big story in Action News is a police chief candidate under fire in Collingdale. The Delaware County District Attorney's Office confirmed
name's Rick something or other
of an ongoing criminal investigation, and that has a community on edge. Action News reporter Caroline Goggin.
On edge. Caroline Goggin.
Goggin was at tonight's council meeting in Collingdale and is live with Tonight. It is Tuesday night.
Yeah, I really like this guy.
Chief candidate under fire.
I want him to tell me who he is so I can follow him. Subscribe. This is ABC 6 out of Philly, I think. I like this guy. Quesadilla, good evening. This next one, we're off with the murders and everything, but there's still a couple of deaths. A man was involved in a fatal train collision. God damn, ooh, that's mangled.
An update to a deadly crash between a train and a van that happened on Wednesday in Cache County near the Utah-Idaho border. Well, the sheriff's office has now identified the victim as 40-year-old Jacob Pratt of Logan. His vehicle was struck by a Union Pacific Railroad train in Cornish. Investigators say it happened at a crossing without any lights or a crossing arm, just a stop sign. A GoFundMe has now been set up for his family, which has already raised more than $9,000. We've got a link to that fundraiser on our website.
Still, it had a stop sign. You can see a train coming from quite a ways away. This dude might have been in a hurry to get to the liquor store. crashing into the front of it.
Well, new this morning, the owners of a liquor store in East Hollywood are picking up the pieces after an SUV rammed into the building. It happened just after 2:30 a.m. near Berendo Street and Santa Monica Boulevard. As you can see, there's glass shattered everywhere and just a big mess all around. Police say that it appears as if a driver lost control, crashed into the building. At this time, officials say no arrests were made and it's not being investigated as a DUI or a hit and run. They say the driver stayed at the scene and cooperated with authorities.
Hello, I'm Mark.
Hey, Mark Brown, not being investigated as a DUI.
And Santa Monica Boulevard. As you can see, there's glass shattered everywhere and just a big mess all around. Police say that it appears as if a driver lost.
That's what I would assume. Stuck accelerator.
Control, crashed into the building. At this time, officials say no arrests were made and it's not being investigated as a DUI or a hit and run. They say the driver stayed at the scene and cooperated with authorities.
Thank you, Mark Brown. I don't know what's going on with the ads tonight, but is anybody even getting them? I guess you wouldn't know because you're probably in it right now. I think most people are subbed at this point. I can just do the news. Alcohol sales end at 1:30 a.m. in California. Really? It's that early? Or is it like a city by city basis? That's when it ends in LA. Like I would think that go a lot later. Woman has filed a lawsuit after a mistaken identity led to her wrongful arrest.
Ivan, see you soon. Now at 5:30,
happened in Florida.
A woman is hauled off to jail after getting off a cruise ship in Fort Lauderdale. But it turns out this was a case of mistaken identity.
And now she's suing the Broward Sheriff's Office and Broward County. CBS News Miami's Nakaya Carrero explains what happened.
Jennifer Heath Box was arrested when she got off a cruise ship in December 2022. She missed Christmas and her son being deployed, and it's that emotional experience that has her suing.
It was really difficult for me because having to call my kids and tell them that I wasn't going to be there for Christmas, and to hear that I hurt them because I wasn't there.
She wasn't there because Jennifer Heath Box was arrested after returning to Port Everglades from a family vacation. She was celebrating her brother beating cancer, as seen in body camera footage provided to us by her legal.
Wow, what a story.
Says BSO deputies told her there was a warrant for her arrest out of Harris County, Texas for child endangerment.
The issue was the fact that my driver's license photo was attached to her warrant. None of my information was attached to the warrant other than my photo. So at that point, I thought I was going to be released.
Box's attorney says there were too many differences between the actual suspect and their client, including Box having adult children, being 23 years older and is almost a half-foot taller. But she was still held for 3 days. Included in the lawsuit is Broward County Sheriff's Office, the arresting deputies, correction officers, and the county. BSO sent us a statement saying they sympathize with Mrs. Box. They also say, in part, had it not been for the arrest warrant filed by
Mrs. Box,
the Sheriff's Office, Customs and Border Patrol would have not flagged Miss Box. BSO would have not been notified and she would not have been arrested. They go on to say, the actions of the BSO deputy involved in arresting Miss Box were reviewed by the Broward Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs Division, and no employee misconduct was found. The matter is now closed.
Wow.
Box's legal team say they aren't at fault.
Does it make it right? No. I think that there just needs to be better due diligence, on all sides,
Box says that was her first time ever being on a cruise, but because of her experience, it will be her last time. In Fort Lauderdale,
the cruise wasn't the problem.
Miami.
Wow. Yeah, she has filed a lawsuit against Broward County. We're going to go to Maryland. Lenny, did I tell you good evening? This happened. This is coming to us from ABC5 out of Boston. but I don't know if it happened in Boston. This is a video of bulls fleeing a Massachusetts mall rodeo. They were captured in a nearby town.
Bulls on the loose. Take a look at this video from North Attleboro. Those bulls escaping from
D-Clams, good evening.
Square Mall.
Now, police say most of them have been corralled safely. This is the moment they were herded into a nearby backyard. Take a look right there.
Bulls on parade.
One of those is still on the loose. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sean Jayabot.
And I'm Jennifer Piñate. Our Emily Maha is live while that search is still underway. Emily, what a wild scene it was.
Sean, Jen, absolutely crazy out here. We were watching as ranch hands, police volunteers all worked together to corral some of those bulls in this backyard here behind me. The homeowner here telling me he could not believe his eyes when he saw those bulls come running down.
Did it happen today? This was posted 3 hours ago. Is it today or did it happen yesterday and they're posting the video of it? I'm not sure.
Take a look at this video. These are the moments those bulls were corralled in this Attleboro backyard, about a 10-minute drive from where they escaped. And in this video, cell phone showing the inside the Emerald Square Mall, where officials say 8 bulls got loose. You can see them running through tables and chairs before hopping a fence and taking off. Over the next few hours, the bulls ran through town, eventually turning on Prescott Street and running right up to Chris Mooney's home.
As soon as I stepped out, when I looked over there, and I was like, those aren't horses. Those are literally bulls, and oh my God.
Those are literally bulls.
Brought them inside real quick. The kids are inside, safety first, and I
like this guy.
Everybody else just started coming, as much people as you can.
Ranch hands carried out metal fences to corral the bulls. You could hear clapping and cheering as nearly all of the escaped bulls were safely taken into a trailer. Now, the North Attleboro Fire Department says 7 of the 8 bulls have been corralled safely. We saw them taken off in that trailer. That 8th bull remains on the
I feel like she might be an animatronic.
Organizers of that rodeo that was held at the Emerald Square Mall to find out how this happened, but haven't heard back from them tonight.
Do you notice how like she puts the emphasis on the wrong? See, look at her. Rodeo. Like, put the emphasis on the wrong thing. Like, I think she may be an animatronic. I'm on to something here. Watch her carefully.
That trailer, that 8th bull remains on the loose tonight. I have reached out to organizers of that rodeo that was held at the Emerald Square Mall to find out how this happened, but haven't heard back from them tonight.
I know a robot when I see a robot. I found a robot. Let's go off the coast of Hawaii, but this time it is not a tropical paradise. It is a tropical rescue. The Coast Guard rescued a bunch of fishermen that were sinking off the coast. It was probably their first rodeo.
We'll take a look. The Coast Guard sharing dramatic video of a rescue out at sea. Crews pulled 3 men to safety after their boat started to sink.
It happened Friday about 9 miles off the
Fork Saw
line. The trio was airlifted back to land. The Coast Guard says none of them were injured in the rescue.
Thank goodness. What a close call, right?
He was wet, like he had been laying here on me licking himself. So like he was all wet, like his entire undercarriage was wet. And now I'm wet too. Feeling all moist.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Milf, good evening. This is a story that breaks my fucking heart. If you are a longtime fan of this show, you know how much I love boar's head meats and cheeses. But now I'm very standoffish after the listeria outbreak at the boar's head plant. We're going to hear from the sanitation manager.
Well, tonight, a former sanitation manager from Boar's Head is speaking out.
I love my meat.
Announcing an indefinite shutdown exactly 1 week ago after it was linked to a listeria outbreak that killed at least 9 people.
8 News reporter Sarah Molina joining us live in the Digital Center after speaking with the former employee who broke down where he thinks the company went wrong. Sarah, good evening.
Eric, good evening. After seeing
good meat
coverage about the shutdown last week, former sanitation manager Terrence Boyce reached out to me. He says he was the Jarrett plant's first and last employee to fill that role. Today, the USDA says Boar's Head is responsible for selling product that's now cost at least 9 people their lives. When you saw all this coming out in the news, after seeing what you saw when you worked there last year, did any of it surprise you?
No. No.
You're the sanitation manager.
Boyce says Boar's Head had corporate managers for sanitation, but he was told he was Jarrett's first on-site sanitation manager. Hired in January of 2023, he says he knows flaws in sanitation procedures immediately.
Like lack of knowledge of sanitation, I don't think they ever had a sanitation manager there who was affluent enough to know, these.
Wait a minute, did they just bring you in to take the fall? Were you just a fall guy? Let's hire a black guy we can blame this on. You're our sanitation manager now. That's fucking low.
Boyce says every manufacturer has to follow SSOP guidelines, or Sanitation Standard Operating Procedures. He breaks them down into 5 steps: dry pickup or pre-cleaning, pre-rinsing, scrubbing, post-rinsing, and finally sanitizing. He says he noticed major flaws in how at least 3 of these 5 steps were being done, pointing out the lack of bleach and insufficient training, noting that ample time was not allotted for sanitation. The rack wash machine also caught his eye.
You have a series of racks that's coming from the side where you may have listeria. See, you may not have listeria on the raw side.
Reports from inspectors detail things like mold and mildew, blood puddles on the floor, bugs, rancid smells from the cooler, and even meat buildup on the walls.
I haven't seen anything like Boar's Head when it comes to sanitation.
Boyce says many Boar's Head workers had been working at the Jarrett plant for decades.
As I tried to establish different ways to clean, there was a lot of pushback. There's a lot of pushback on old methodology, old things that they used to do that nobody does anymore. If you push against management, I think you become a target.
He says it ultimately led to his termination in August of 2023. Records released by the USDA show a total of 69 non-compliances between now and then. Of those, 66 were marked fixed with corrective action, leaving people to question, why didn't these repeated violations slow down?
When you have the USDA officials point something out to you, and we saying it's been done, who verifying that it's done? Who verifying that the door is being fixed?
Virginia is one of 10 states operating under what's called the Tallmadge-Aiken Cooperative Inspection Program. By law, state employees are responsible for conducting federal inspections. This means a Virginia Department of Agricultural and Consumer Service inspector would have verified corrections for the Virginia Department of Health, who then works with the USDA and their Food Safety Inspection Service to keep those state inspectors' records. By the time action was taken, Boyce says it was years too late. Now we're working to get the names of the inspectors who conducted each check. I reached out to the USDA asking about the possibility of taking legal action against Boar's Head for the repeated violations. They did not provide a statement, but a federal investigation has been launched. Boar's Head sent me a link to their website's closing statement when I asked for a response. Reporting live in the Digital Center, Sarah Molina, 8 News.
Meat buildup was the part that got me. Ugh. Ugh. Meat buildup. Are there any Kevin Hart fans in the crowd? There's meat buildup on the windows, like you would have with like smoking. You'd have tar on the windows. There's meat buildup on the windows. Kevin Hart caught on camera in a Diddy freak off video. He apparently has a wild rant.
In a hot tub, doing it official, you know what I'm saying? My nigga Trey's up here, my nigga Fab's up here. You know, when you have a scene like this, you gotta bring bosses with you. As you see, it's female friendly. We got a ladies and a female. She's butt ball. That's what I call it, raw dog. I'm not jumping.
Did you say butt ball?
You know, once everybody gets out, you know, just me and the lady. This is my scene. I'm used to this type of
So much ham on my windows.
doing what I do best.
I am a man who loves his meat buildup.
Got the camera. Got the camera off. We had technical difficulties last time, but I'm gonna tell you something. When you with troopers, we act as troopers and we fix situations. We're up here, everybody's safe. You know, no, this one's here. We had Trigger Trey on the scene. Honestly, second degree black belt in.
Is that where the baby oil was at? Like we saw the baby oil in the bathtub. Was that bathtub?
First aid. Right now, also my man Terrence, BT 106 Park. He's in the building. Shouts out to Terrence for a very small waistline on his pants. Listen, we're really right now. Listen, what we're doing is unbelievable. No, listen. What we're doing is unbelievable up here. No, listen, it's all love here, okay? I'm tipsy, everybody's tipsy. Get in the tub, sweetie. Be careful. If you fall, that's a lot that's gonna go down. Girl, sit your ass in the tub. Trey, if you can't, put it in the knot. If you can't, Trey, can you put it in the knot? Just put it in the knot.
Put it in a knot.
Put a hair in a knot, if you can. Just for safety. We had a fire.
He's not funny.
Not too long ago.
This is Kevin Hart. This is P. Diddy.
Check. Hey, listen. If y'all think we not gonna dress Swiss Beats hat in this bitch tonight, no. Fuck you.
Oh, shit.
Pup, hey, fuck you. Excuse me. Somebody tell the bell cap to move. The bell cap's in the way.
We waiting for Swiss to get up there.
Sweetie.
We need Swizzy standing up there.
Here's the thing, man. First of all, it's a movement. My nigga Swiss Beats just got in the house. Woo. Listen, his thing was Swiss. Swiss gonna wear a lot of shit.
Is that Humpty?
Say shit. I'm gonna say some shit, Swiss.
Say it, baby. Say it.
I'm gonna address the hat. I don't like
cold,
the bow.
Oh, that's Swiss Beats.
I like the bow tie at the top of the hat. I like the hat. You just not gonna tie that loop on that hat and think I'm not gonna say shit.
Well, we can skateboard out with them things on your feet, though.
That's a good comeback. Okay, hey, let's go to the next song. Listen, let's go to. They get me back.
We want to thank you. Come here. Don't sit on the bed at night. No homo. No, just don't get close.
What?
Don't get close. But it's just like, yo, we want to thank you for hosting the thing, man. It's been a pleasure. You didn't have to do it.
Did P. Diddy fuck Kevin Hart?
I definitely didn't have to. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed. You know, shout out to him and what he did. I'm just gonna.
Well, that's wild. Worst Capital One commercial Kevin has ever done. Well, that's something. Okay, it might seem like I'm wrapping up. I absolutely am not. Should I give you animal video now and then animal video after what I have planned? You might say, what do you have planned, Justin? I have not watched Matt Walsh on with Emily and Ryan Grimm, and I would like to do that. I would like to watch that on stream from Breaking Points. That's what we're going to do for the remainder of the show. Yeah, I have not seen it. I've been saving it to watch on stream. What do you mean give it to you, Media Winch? That sounds... Breaking Points makes you drink. We'll light one up, tip one back. But should I give you a cat video before and after? Everybody else just watched the teaser. I want to watch the whole thing. Avalon, did I tell you good evening? A lost cat went missing in Yellowstone and made the journey back to California.
Perfect story with a picture-perfect ending. A missing cat's unbelievable journey home. How cute is that cat? So this California cat went missing months ago in a different state, and it was found in Roseville.
Yeah, this is a story you gotta see to believe. Your reporter covering Placer County, Brady Halbleib, has more on this cat's journey. Yes, from Yellowstone to Roseville and back to its home in Salinas.
Wow.
I just hear this yowling. It was July 1st when Alex Bitts stopped right here on her way into work after she heard what she calls a cat yowling.
Cats don't generally yowl like that unless there's something wrong.
She went down into this drainage ditch outside of Sutter Roseville Hospital to find this cat barely holding on to life.
It's a while for me to actually get the cat close enough to see it.
As an animal lover at heart, Alex did what she says was the right
Rainbow, that's the name of the cat.
Canned cat food to work and brought a cup of fresh water during her break.
As soon as I opened that first can, he did poke his head up and he recognized the sound. So to me, that indicated that he was a pet.
The next day, Alex returned with more food and a dog kennel. She was able to get the cat inside and she took it home, nurtured it for a few days before taking the cat to Placer SPCA.
It was the hardest thing we had to do.
1 month before, Suzanne and Ben Anguiano were camping in Yellowstone with their 2 cats. While transferring them from the truck to the camper, their cat Rainbow escaped, running off into the woods, and park rangers there didn't give them any encouraging news.
He goes, good luck. If your cat doesn't make it home tonight, good luck.
After searching for 5 days, they had to give up and return to their home in Salinas.
I felt like I was abandoning him.
Now here's where things get wild. After being surrendered to the SPCA, the cat was scanned for a microchip, revealing it was registered to Suzanne.
I still didn't believe it. I said, okay, you have to describe him to me, because it was so overwhelming that this could be true.
The theory is Rain hitched a ride knowingly or unknowingly with someone who happened to live in Roseville.
As God has placed all the little, as we look back,
signs.
We're there.
Allowing the pieces to line up for Rain to be found by Alex.
Things lined up the way that they were supposed to. That it wasn't me necessarily, but somebody working through me.
Wow, Alex went above and beyond.
Yes.
You said it, how many people would have heard the cat and just assume it was... Yeah.
And done what she did. If cats could talk. I said that the first time I heard this story.
Yeah.
She'd probably have a story.
She'd probably say, next time go camping without me. I'm good here. Very cool, though.
Great story, Brady.
Oh, sweet baby. All right, now let's, you might talk me into a police chase afterwards. I'll make you sit through this. This is a slog, isn't it? A few years back, one Mr. Matt Walsh called me.
JustinFREAKIN is a formidable voice in the culture.
We'll go back to Kitty after Matt Walsh. You gotta sit through Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh went on with Ryan Grimm and Emily, whatever the fuck her name is. Judakowski or something like that. And apparently Matt got some pushback from Ryan, which I appreciate.
We are joined now by Matt Walsh, who is out with a new movie called Am I Racist? That is in theaters around the country. Matt obviously hosts his eponymous show with The Daily Wire. Matt, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, now the movie's doing pretty well. One of the, I don't know if it was a coincidence or fate, whatever it was, as it happened, when your movie was released last week, everyone was debating whether a very particular post on social media was racist. So we thought we would play a little game of Was it racist?
The Laura Loomer thing?
Laura Loomer's infamous curry tweet. If Kamala Harris wins, the White House will smell like curry and White House speeches will be facilitated via a call center. And the American people will only be able to convey their feedback through a customer satisfaction survey at the end of the call.
It is racist because it's like multiple stereotypes. Because curry in and of itself isn't bad, right? I don't know if Kamala Harris has ever said that like she enjoys curry, but who doesn't? It's really fucking good. Only like a dumb fucking racist would be like, ooh, curry, scary. But like the call center and everything, oh, that's totally like racist Indian stereotypes. It's, you know, like, thank you, come again.
That nobody will understand. One of the interesting things about your movie, which I really enjoyed, Ryan might have something to add on that, we might disagree on it, I really enjoyed it, is getting to the bottom of the the industrial complex that's been built up around race relations that often will advance this silly, incoherent, elite definition that used to be prolific in academia and then leaked out into the rest of the world. So by the sort of definition of racism that you're challenging in this film, is that Laura Loomer tweet racist? And then by the kind of definition that you're trying to promote of racism, which maybe you have
no, it's not racist to hate curry.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. Those are sort of like
I did indeed, Kanye.
Based on this belief that people of a different race are somehow inferior.
You want to see the graphic?
Is this post-racist?
I mean, by the definition advanced by, you know, the DEI industry, it certainly would count as racist.
Right.
I wouldn't call it racist. I think it's just kind of a dumb joke. Not very helpful joke. And also, by the way, I like Indian food. So I think that when things smell like curry, I'm a huge fan of curry personally. So I don't see that as an insult. But look, someone engaging in stereotypes, it might be insensitive, it might be unhelpful politically, but it's not necessarily racist. In fact, I would say it's often not racist because to me, what racism means—
it's not funny.
Hate people of another race, and or you think they're inferior to you in some way, inherently because of their, you know, immutable characteristics. So that's racism. And as long as you don't feel that way about another race of people—
I would say that when you're mocking somebody for eating curry and saying they're going to turn the White House into a call center, you are saying they're inferior.
then you're not racist. You might have stereotypical views about another group of people. Everybody does. But it's not automatically racist if you don't also harbor that ill will towards them. And as far as whether or not— so the real answer is that with the Laura Loomer tweet, I wouldn't say that it's racist. The only person who can answer whether it's racist is her. We'd have to ask her, well, do you hate people of Indian descent? Do you think that they're inferior to you in some way? If the answer is yes, then yeah, that's racist. But
wow,
say no. And if she said no, then I'll have to take her word for it. She's the only one who can speak to her own, you know, what's going on in her own.
Yeah, I actually think she would say that yes, they do.
Supporter, she wants Kamala to lose. Presumably, she's making the point in a negative way,
Well,
right?
it's
Like
also-
this is a bad thing.
That's
like
kind
call
of-
center and like she's saying these are all bad things.
Well, this is an interesting point about
So that
stereotyping.
would, by your definition, make it.
Because stereotyping is often
Yes, thank you, Ryan.
to say that there's something negative that is
Yeah.
generally attributed to someone of a different race.
Right, it's correct. It's negative. She means it in a
Bill, good evening.
Because we can assume that she thinks things smelling like curry is a bad thing. I guess not a fan of Indian food. But you
We'll give Nabil a shout out.
or engage in or repeat negative stereotypes and not be racist. You might just happen to think. So, for example, I'll give another example. Somebody might say, you know, Asians are bad drivers. I don't know if that's actually true statistically. I'm not sure. But if you happen to believe that it's true,
I'd say it's false
does that mean you hate
statistically.
Asians? No, it just means that you think that Asians, by and large, are bad drivers. It doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean that you're racist against them.
Although it could mean that you think there's like an intellectual inferiority.
Saying they're an inferior driver to
The
you.
reason that they're bad at driving.
He literally defined racism as thinking people are inferior to you, and then gave illustrations where people are saying that you're an inferior driver to me. Matt, you dumb fuck.
Western countries.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, and no one thinks that Asians are intellectually inferior. I think everybody understands that they're. That's one of the other, because stereotypes can be positive too. Another stereotype is that they're very good at math and science and that sort of thing. So, you know, there are generalizations you can make about groups of people that that can be largely true. And I'm not sure I've ever heard a stereotype where I thought to myself, well, that bears no resemblance to reality. I don't know, unless one of you could think. I've never heard a stereotype where I said, I don't even know where that comes from. That's just falling out of the sky. Usually stereotypes arise because, society has about groups of people, and they can be negative, they can be positive, but I don't see them as inherently racist.
Now, we have a clip from the film that we want to roll here. Let's go ahead and play this. This is from the dinner scene. Matt, you've probably seen this 100 times by now, but
a few times.
Let's take a watch.
I used to be a white woman, an unsuccessful one, for many decades, and it was a miserable experience. And really, the hatred of yourselves and each other is like the not seeing your power, the being afraid. Like, all you do is talk shit about each other, talk shit about yourself. Oh my God, I'm so fat.
That's all they do. I'm telling you, these white women.
But that's it. It's I'm so fat, I'm so stupid, I'm blah blah blah.
Sorry.
Your kids are watching you.
This is horrible.
You talking shit about each other, raging against the machine or being silent or whatever the hell it is that you're doing or not doing, and they know that you're not doing shit for them.
That's so important. That is so important what you just said. It's really important.
I hope he doesn't copyright me again.
Oh, I would love to take a seat and join you.
No, you're not allowed to.
How'd you get the cameras in there, by the way? Like, set that up for us?
Yeah, they're not hidden cameras.
Obviously, they're like cinematic level.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody knew they were being...
Everybody's mic'd up.
Yes, the Daily Wire has a shit ton of money.
Filmed. And they thought they were being filmed for a documentary about anti-racism, which they were, because that is what we made.
True.
So we, that's what we told people. We're making a documentary on anti-racism.
And did they know you were involved in it?
Probably not. Probably not.
So they're like this. So this waiter, like they didn't know that the waiter was part of the film.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
But they knew you had to be mic'd up because everybody in the kitchen and everywhere else had signed the thing. Is that how that worked? Or?
I don't think they knew that I had a mic on. And I wanted to sit at the table at the Race to Dinner and be a part of the conversation, but we were told that they only accept women to be at the table, which I thought was interesting, because then our next question is, well, what is a woman? Which kind of harkens back to our first film.
I was asking, what is a woman, not how is a woman.
Well, I kind of invited I earned my seat at the table. Right. I invited myself to be a part of the dinner, and I felt
as a man does.
It's painful. Yeah.
Did a little mansplaining to the women, and they seemed to really enjoy it.
It's weird to me because they famously, I guess it's not so famous, but they back in, this was years ago. I think this was pre-COVID. There was a podcast called Femsplainers that Danielle from Crittenden and Christina.
She gets her information from podcasts.
With Syra Rao over the Race to Dinner stuff. And you'd think they would be way more careful, but it seems as though maybe they let their guard down.
Technically, he is a filled radio host.
Of course, I get this question all the time. It's like, how did they not recognize me, or how did they not ask more questions? And I guess I don't know the answer to that question, but I do think that...
I can answer that. Most normies have no fucking idea who Matt Walsh is. Most people in the world have no earthly idea who Matt Walsh is. That's why they didn't recognize him. He thinks that because he has fame in a small circle of terminally online politicos on Twitter and YouTube and Rumble and shit, that he is famous in the greater world, and he is not.
I generally give, I think is correct, is that a lot of these people live in kind of a bubble. So number one, they're not as aware of...
He lives in a bubble.
Outside that bubble as we assume they are. So me, as someone in conservative media, I'm actually outside of their bubble, which is weird to me because I know everybody in liberal media. Because I want to know what they're saying. So I kind of assumed that they...
You farm them for content.
Ryan Grimm, noted liberal journalist Ryan Grimm.
So he's right about 12% of the time, which I appreciate.
I'll take that.
So, but they're kind of in this interesting bubble that they don't, not only didn't know who I was, but also I think it was kind of inconceivable to them that they would ever find themselves in a room with someone who doesn't agree with them. I think that just never occurred to them because this never happened before. Robin DiAngelo appears later in the film, and I think me sitting in the room with her was probably the first time in like 20 years that she's actually sat across the room from someone who doesn't already agree with everything that she thinks.
I think part of the 12% that I've been right about over the years, I think has been that I do think this entire DEI industry is, you know, a grift, and it's just milking
corporate speak.
And also that
You've
it
written
is-
about that.
Yeah, and that it is actively harmful in the sense that when like corporations, I actually do believe that corporations oftentimes internally do have racist structures set up within them, and also they all operate sometimes in racist ways. And when they get sued for that, and they're facing the consequences of that, one of the things that they do is they hire these DEI consultants.
Right.
And say, well, you can't come after us, actually. How could we possibly be racist? Like, we spent this money to bring these consultants in. Consultants then cover for their more systemic racism.
Consultants in general
Continue without being interrogated.
are usually grifters.
Turns the interrogation inward,
Mm-hmm.
where you say, well, these structures and these corporations can't be challenged. What we really need to do is look inside
Mm-hmm.
and find our own racism. And because we're all born with it or whatever, it's just inculcated in us. None of us are then responsible for it. And so therefore we're not responsible for actually changing anything on a system-wide basis. But I'm curious, as somebody who like spent so much time within this grift of a system, like, what was your take on these folks? Like, do they believe what they're saying, or have they found like a consultancy that is
DiAngelo's good.
that they're able to make money on, and they're kind of now locked into it?
Yeah, it's well. The short answer is I don't know exactly if they believe what they say, but it strikes me that they probably don't believe much of it.
The same question can be asked to Matt Walsh.
So absurd on their face, but there's a lot of money in it, as we discovered making the film. And
Same thing could be said of Matt Walsh.
And also, there's it must feel very, very good for them to be consulted as these kind of moral experts.
The same thing can be said of Matt Walsh.
It's actually not very complicated. That's why they're in this, because money, power, influence, right? It's the tale as old as time. Now, on the other hand, you've got, so that's like the Robin DiAngelos of the world.
That's the Matt Walshes of the world.
Millions of dollars. But then you've got the people that are actually buying the books and who are going to the race dinner and going to these seminars that we kind of crashed for our film. They're a more interesting case because they're not getting any money out of it. They're spending money, and they're not getting power, influence out of it. So for them,
I would love to have a conversation with Matt Walsh.
Tell their friends that, hey, I went to race to dinner and it was so life-changing. But then most of it for those people is that I think they actually do believe it. It is
or debate.
It is speaking.
Probably be pretty heated.
Something going on inside them. I don't know if it's just like a kind of guilt or something that they carry around, and a lot of them are secular. They don't have religion, and so this becomes kind of like a replacement for religion. I don't know if that's part of it. I think it's probably part of it.
Yeah, I feel like those people have kind of.
For those of you who don't know, I've tried to get hired at the Daily Wire a couple of different times, and they wouldn't hire me. I am more than qualified to do video editing for the Daily Wire, and they did not hire me. Even though I said that Matt Walsh once called me a formidable voice in the culture.
JustinFREAKIN is a formidable voice in the culture.
I even said that Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring had once retweeted me and said, "Damn, I love the internet."
They identified that they were raised in a society that still does have racism as part of it.
And as I think
it's
any
their-
multicultural society always will.
Yeah,
To
well,
some extent.
it's their way of kind of trying to confront it, I think.
Honestly, they're boring me with the three white people talking about racism shit.
What I would say yes, there's still racism in society. There always will be. As long as there are different races and cultures living together, you can have racism. I think we have a lot less of it than pretty much anywhere else on Earth. But whatever racism you find in society now is individual. It's not systemic. It's not in the system. These systems are not.
Oh Lord, no, Matt.
To disadvantage, quote unquote, people of color. In fact, the only real systemic racism.
I don't think they're conscious.
Is the kind that's targeted at white people and also Asians.
Oh
That's
my
what affirmative
God.
action is like that. The only time you ever find a policy that specifically says, here's an advantage that you can't have if you're a race. The only time it ever says that is if it's singling out white and or Asian people. It doesn't go the other way anymore.
Includes the Asian people.
Even people on the right now are saying Republicans have singled out Haitians, and this is an interesting segue because we were just talking about multiculturalism and how we're
Oh, Flash, I'm enjoying this.
people from different backgrounds, races, ethnicities put together. There will always be some types of
I'll give you a car chase, though.
culture should be to minimize that. Has there been legitimate racism directed by high-profile Republican lawmakers? This is the accusation on the table towards the Haitian community in the United States, and particularly in Springfield, Ohio, in the last couple of weeks.
No, absolutely not. I haven't heard it. Everything I've heard has been critical of the fact that we're importing
Imperial, good evening.
Thousands of people from the third world who are coming into communities. And look, America, nobody thinks that it will benefit America to become more like Haiti. Nobody thinks that.
And you're right.
I would challenge anyone, if they do think that, to explain how that's the case. Like, in what way could this country...
I had that story bookmarked to talk about tomorrow, but I'm glad you brought it up, Imperial. Missouri is executing Marcellus Williams. I wanted to point out this is a good example of the systemic racism that still exists. For the third time, Marcellus Williams faces execution. The grim reality unfolding. It's up to Governor Mike Parson to grant clemency and commute Mr. Williams' sentence to life without parole. He's fucking innocent. They're just trying to save his life. There's no reliable evidence proving that Marcellus Williams committed the crime for which he is scheduled to be executed on September 24th. The state of Missouri destroyed or corrupted the evidence that could conclusively prove his innocence, and the available DNA and other forensic crime scene evidence does not match him. Time is running out to stop Missouri from executing an innocent man. It's up to Governor Mike Parson to grant clemency or commute Mr. Williams' sentence to life without parole, or at a minimum, stay the execution for further appeals to be resolved. I think it's Tuesday, September 24th. Yes, Tuesday.
Country be improved by making it more like Haiti. When you look at Haiti, what part of Haiti are you saying to yourself?
You can call the governor's office.
Well, we have more beaches than them too, right? Don't we?
The info is in the...
We don't want a marine invasion and occupation of the United States that constantly decapitates governments and
I've seen this clip.
Takes the money out of the country and
Yeah.
saddles us with
We don't want the Clintons
debt
either.
from a revolution. Yeah.
Right. Although I don't. So you're saying that
we wouldn't want to be like basically a colony that the entire West spends 200 years punishing after the Haitian Revolution.
I get that. I understand that, but also at a certain
We
point,
wouldn't want that. No, yes.
we wouldn't want that. But I would also say that that's not entirely why Haiti's in the position that it's in. I mean, at a certain point, as a country, you have to stand on your own.
It's totally.
Yourself. And
but at what point is that? Let's
totally the reason Haiti's in the position it's in.
and we overthrow Aristide. Then they elect Jovenel Moïse. Jovenel Moïse is assassinated a bunch of people with American connections, and then we install in 2021, like the United States installed the prime minister that we just ousted. Like, so we could say, okay, yeah, you got to get over the 200 years ago, but like we're still doing it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not in favor of. I'm very non-interventionist in my policies, so I'm not in favor of most of the things that we're doing in other countries.
We just made
Can't tell.
in Haiti, in a hotel room in Jamaica, and then we insisted that whatever government we made in Jamaica had to allow Kenyan troops to come in under the flag of the UN in order to go to war with the gangs.
Yeah, I'm not. Look, I'm not interested in. Right. If it were up to me, I'm not interested in doing anything in Haiti. Like let Haiti be Haiti and take care of them. That's sort of my whole point here. Let them take care of themselves and their own problems. I'm also not saying that there's like never a scenario where we would let someone from Haiti into the country. But it doesn't have to just be about Haiti. But when you're throwing open the gates and just inviting anyone,
throwing open the gates.
I guess your assumption there was that it is Haitian people that are creating the conditions on Haiti, and that if the Haitian people come to Springfield, they will recreate the conditions.
Well, but I don't think you can
Haiti in Springfield. Whereas what I'm saying is that it's actually the U.S. that has.
I don't think you can entirely put it on
largely.
But it's still a country comprised of people, right?
But without its own autonomy.
But you can't. I don't think you can entirely put it on the United States. Like the Haitian people have nothing to do whatsoever with the state of their own country. Nothing. I mean, I think that's a bit absurd. I'm perfectly willing to, as I said, agree that a lot of the United States sort of adventurism and interventions in other
adventurism
unwise, and I'd prefer for us to focus on our own country and not try to build governments in other countries. But at the same time, I think that you can't completely absolve the people of any country of the problem, just like in this country. The problem.
Jinx, Drake.
We can point to the government, we can point to immigration, we point to all those things. But ultimately, like, the people of the country have to be responsible for their own nation. And I say that of all nations.
Right, fair enough. So you said earlier that we have less racism here than lots of other countries, which I think is a fair point to make.
Glass half full.
And obviously you would acknowledge that at some point in our history we had lots of racism, right?
Sure.
Lots of racism then, less racism now.
Mm-hmm.
So when did we get to a point where it wasn't systemic and it was no longer a problem that we as a democratic society need to deal with? Like, what was the moment in your mind?
Well, I'm not sure that you could point to one exact moment in time when it goes from a systemic issue to not systemic anymore. But what we know for sure is that right now we are certainly in the moment where it's not systemic. Any time in history, I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
At any point in history, when you can go back and look at actual laws and policies that were in place that deprived Black Americans or any other group of rights, well, that was a time when you had systemic, and we know that existed historically. Yeah. So if you wanted to point to an exact moment, I mean, I guess the most obvious moment would be the Civil Rights Act.
Racism ended. The Civil Rights Act.
These are changes that happen gradually over time. Just like with slavery, you can't, even with slavery, you can't really, people like to point to the Emancipation Proclamation as the moment when slavery was ended. Of course, we know that wasn't when it ended. So we know we don't have slavery anymore, but if you were to ask me, point
we kind of do.
The moment when slavery stopped. Well, it wasn't an exact moment. It was a gradual ending of that horrific institution. But certainly now it doesn't exist anymore. In this country, anyway.
I wonder if he does, Drake. I'd ask him.
Racism, as well, that nobody is creating policies, again, that are deliberately intended to create disadvantages for quote unquote people of color.
I have a question about that. A lot of conservatives.
Ow! He bit the shit out of me.
This is, you're about as anti-abortion and pro-life as it gets.
This is boring the fuck out of me. He bit the shit out of me, and this is boring the fuck out of me. I'm sorry, I thought this was going to be interesting. I'm not into it, to be honest with you. Car chase! So much more exciting than Matt fucking Walsh.
Carjacking suspect. And
we got a carjacking suspect.
Or severe.
This white truck right here.
Injuries involved at this time.
Oh, he's already driving erratically. I love it.
Yeah, no, we're all learning this together. Definitely a breaking story, but making pretty good speed starting in Ontario, now in the San Gabriel Valley, and you could see just how fast this vehicle is going at this hour, especially with so many cars on the road. Just weaving of traffic, definitely, you know, a concern for drivers and commuters out there. You know, I've talked to you a lot, covering a lot of these pursuits at nighttime. When it comes to the daytime, obviously, you could see.
I'm not sure. It's hard to tell the difference between a Chevy and a GMC. So many people. Because sometimes there's not a lot of difference other than the.
When it comes to, you know, the different law.
The hood ornament.
And trying to get this person to pull over and you know, how their tactics are changed.
It's not always in Southern California, Drake, but it's because they have a helicopter
department.
And they have a large population, so a lot of car chases happen.
Evaluated, you know, like this one here, you're looking at just the dangers or the risk outweigh the need.
We watched that one out of, what was it, Massachusetts?
Is there an immediate?
They had the utility truck, and it pushed over the cop cars. That was awesome.
Lately, we're not looking.
My new favorite one's out of, what was that, Ohio? Columbus, Ohio?
Kind of staying away.
But it was dash cam.
It doesn't make it any less dangerous, but that's something that would be considered.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of people who are watching this, they, you know, are driving down the freeway. They may not know exactly, you know, what's going on, especially if they don't see the police vehicles behind them, because the way this driver is driving is just like so many Angelenos that we see on the road that are crisscrossing through traffic. So,
Angelenos.
Paying attention though, because that white truck is definitely going fast. My producer.
It was posted. This is a car chase channel.
Park area. So
I don't know if it's
good.
New
distance in this area. Definitely.
But it was posted like 2 days ago.
You know, 4-door truck. That's pretty fast considering, you know, just how heavy and how big this vehicle is, and just a slight impact into another vehicle could be damaging.
Like motorcycle chases?
Cause a lot of injuries as well. And Dave, you know, watching this, obviously we look at, you know, doing.
He's driving in the express lane.
Trying to get them to pull over. But in situations like this, do they just have to kind of give this driver space and hopefully they decide to pull over? Because
it doesn't give us a date.
Too close behind them. You see them by air, but.
If I had to guess, it was in the last week.
Yeah, you know, that's all part of that de-escalation thing that we heard about before, and we still hear about. You know, we can't imagine what this driver is thinking right now. They know they're going for a felony, whether or not they injured the victim.
They look to have a sponge in the.
But you know,
that's a real nice truck. That's also one of those where, like,
take off. You go.
The purpose of that truck is not to haul anything. There's been like fucking nothing but groceries in the bed of that truck.
Sheriffs have theirs, so every department is different. But as we could see in this one here, and
the rest of the truck,
whether or not we see the chippies get involved,
is like 3 times as big as the bed.
He's working together on this, but yeah.
Tommy J USA, welcome in, my friend. Thank you for being a freaking follower.
Westbound on the 10 freeway. I had 3 cars go by me that I'm surprised they didn't spin my vehicle around. They were so fast.
Yeah, well, we haven't done a.
Definitely what we see on the streets, and you know, hopefully this person will pull over soon. I mean, the fact that they're going nearly 90.
We haven't done a lurker shout out in a while
on this freeway when a lot of people are commuting, going to work. Definitely dangerous conditions right there, and. You know, you got to also wonder with the price of gas, hopefully this driver...
Mr. Elwood in here creeping.
Gas, because this person is making some good distance.
Usually you give us a what up.
Making their way to Baldwin Park.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood. Glad to see you.
The freeway is clearing up quite a bit in this area. So
I bet that truck's got some power to it.
ASD gaining a little bit more traction, getting a little closer. And, you know, the closer they get, as you've talked about in the past, Dave, they're able to...
Feel free to keep lurking. I don't want to call anybody out, put anybody on the spot.
Seems to be impaired.
Just want to show some lurker love.
Those are all factors that are taken into place when making the actual pullover or arrest, or how they decide to handle the de-escalation of this.
Yeah, exactly. You can see that they decided to get right back on this to re-engage. So, and a lot of it, you know, it's like we said before, it's the initiating officer or deputy that's going to call the shots until the supervisor gets involved in it, and with the sheriff, it's their unit commander. So it looks to me, and what I'm hearing is that, yeah, they decided, hey, let's just get back in this pursuit It's gone to that point to where
I don't think it's a Mazda. I think
but now we got
believe it's a GM of some sort.
You mentioned it. This is a heavy vehicle. You know, the average vehicle is 3,000 pounds, something like that. This may be around there, 4,000 pounds. What he has in the back, we don't
It's a big boy.
it looks like it's one of those heavy-duty trucks. That it's a pretty good-sized vehicle. And then at 90 miles per hour, oh, certainly it'll cause some damage to some.
Got some nice tint
out there.
Yeah, it's amazing that this vehicle is able to go this fast on the freeways right now, considering it is a Monday and
they're clocking him at like 86.
Pretty busy, but right now it's not looking too bad. And we know this started in Ontario. Ontario police gave it over to
I don't feel like that's
LASD.
too
and
fast.
It's interesting when we follow pursuits like this, when it comes from tracking from the air,
not absurdly fast
police tracking, and then they hand it over to LASD. Talk to people a little bit about just when they're transitioning from one law enforcement agency to another.
It keeps things so much cooler. Yes, I had
to make sure that you don't get in each other's.
I had double fives on my
airspace.
My first truck.
Pretty dangerous.
Yeah, as far as the ground goes, it's mutual aid. Everybody has each other's frequencies. They have a down leak.
Not exactly sure, Imperial.
Transfer information. As far as the air units go, it's a big deal when you're talking about switching over. Let's say if Ontario, I don't think Ontario air unit was over it, but let's say if they were, and then the sheriffs come up overhead, they'll stay high and wide.
I don't think I'm high enough for this shit. What do you guys say we get a little more high?
Air unit to pull out, and they'll visually make sure that they are out of the area, and then they'll announce it. Then now they're going to descend on.
Okay, it looks like he's getting off. He's in the Alhambra area, and it looks.
Oh, he's getting off.
Getting off on a surface level, and
we've been edging.
Very dangerous to see, Dave. You might be a few seconds delayed, but he just exited the freeway, and if he goes right here, he's going onto the surface street.
I wish I could pass a bowl to you guys.
People
wait a minute, no, there's no. We're still in COVID. We got monkeypox and bird flu. I don't wish I could pass a bowl to you guys.
Freeways, and he's doing the exact same thing.
I wish it was 2017. I could pass a bowl to you guys.
It's definitely very frightening. I mean, there we go, going through the middle lane, going on an oncoming.
Damn, love it.
It's 11:19. He's about to turn right here. I mean, this is dangerous driving. This guy is going way too fast. Obviously, if you're
love a good grab bong,
you see something like this, something's not right. And as you could see.
Oh well, if it's you, I'm gonna swap spit with you in many other ways.
A lot more people.
We're gonna share other bodily fluids, so
of drivers, and they really need to be careful, because if this guy continues driving like this, that could be the recipe for a bad. For something bad.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Yeah, and what they're doing now is they're just going to try that de-escalation thing one more time. They're going to go back and go into surveillance mode, as they put it, and just see if they can get this suspect to slow down some. But you could see the desperation. It was huge on the freeway, but now it's even.
Oh, you're on a red light. Oh shit!
He stuck to his own lane. He didn't interfere with any other traffic. But
wasn't maneuver he pulled.
Now going through red lights, slamming through.
Took that turn like a boss.
Signs. So eventually they're going to get Baldwin Park, Monterey Park PDs on this thing.
You're such a Fed Flash.
Until then,
I'm
not sure for sure. Go ahead.
The desperation is there. I mean, it makes you wonder what's going on to the psyche of this person, and maybe if they think that the quicker and faster they drive. I
don't think they're thinking rationally. Energy flow, average truck driver.
They really are going to get away. But Dave, we've seen a lot of these chopper shots, and it looks like we just lost it. It's going back and forth, but we've seen a lot of these pursuits where the driver does get away, and part of the reason why they get away is because there's just way too many people out there on the road, and it becomes too dangerous.
Oh, I love people making connections in the chat.
But obviously, it looks like the driver is slowing down a little bit when it comes to these big intersections, which could be good, but at the same time, no intentions of stopping. He just passed by a black and white there and just kept going. So, I mean, this person knows.
I got this cat rubbing all up against my leg.
As you mentioned, the desperation is still there, and who knows what's going on in this person's head. And Dave, you talked about this before, dealing with so many pursuits throughout your career. When these drivers are out there and they're trying to get away, is it a fight or flight type of response that they're going for, or are they, some
that they're going for
their family or loved ones? What's usually going on with the psyche of the drivers?
Well, I can tell just from the suspects that we've taken into custody over the years, and this was a while back, and that's just, number one, they're trying to get hold of their family and just get that last word in. Or in some cases, which we've seen here recently, is they're calling what we would refer to as a friendly, somebody that they know. And they'll try to get in the area of that individual so this way they can dump the vehicle and just take off on foot. But
that never works.
I still haven't gotten any confirmation on what type of carjacking this was.
If you're going to take off on foot, you need to be in a wooded area, a heavily wooded area, and they ain't heavily wooded area anywhere near where he's at.
Chris, with that black window, that black.
Or she.
There could be additional suspects back there. They could have committed another crime. Yeah, the other thing.
He finally went over. He's sitting on the chair over there. He's got like one leg way up in the air.
Right.
So
he's licking his asshole now.
A lot of things for them.
Yeah, Div,
fat ass good boy named Mookow.
Suburban that was following this suspect, and it appeared that there were flashers inside there. At the bottom of the screen, you see right behind the black and white.
Raven, good evening.
You'll see that. Tell me, when you're seeing that, are those people, are they just undercover cops who are just out and about, or are they a special part of pursuits?
We're back on the freeway.
I usually cover the pursuit.
No, wait a minute. This isn't live, is it?
For me.
Yeah. Now,
the inset picture is probably live. This one.
An unmarked vehicle will not go in pursuit, so this may be police orientated. I'm not real sure. But I don't think they were doing a full-blown pursuit. Now, different agencies, different.
Back to the live picture. We already watched we already watched them go down the freeway.
Got back in it. That SUV stayed right on their tail.
Look at
that.
That's a big Yui. Or no?
Okay. That wasn't a Yui.
Basically, just made a last-minute ditch effort. Does it look like he's going to go back onto the freeway?
Remember the other night when they kept saying they were doing donuts?
But.
And nobody had done any donuts.
I'm hoping this person runs out of gas soon, because those trucks are gas guzzlers.
Oh God, yeah, they are.
See what happens, but yeah, as you can see right here,
I'd say that motherfucker doesn't even get 15 miles to the gallon.
Tracking suspect. Not exactly sure where this pursuit.
Probably like 12, 13.
Carjacking. We don't know if weapons are involved. We don't know if this person's under the influence. If there's other suspects, potentially victims inside that truck. As we just mentioned, very dark windows, very strong tint, so makes it a little hard to see.
Oh, BCP is involved.
Kind of creeping up on his tail. A little more now than we have seen in the past, probably because there's more open space.
It was Antifa.
Back on other freeways, and also when he was on the regular roads. But
the regular roads
going by so fast, and hopefully they pull over, and we'll just have to keep monitoring this and seeing what's going on. At this point, we have not seen them try to do any kind of pit maneuver or any kind of spike strips, but obviously they haven't had the right opportunity to do it. The fact that this driver has been able to go from Ontario all the way to the San Gabriel Valley, up over in the Baldwin Park area, definitely making some pretty good distance. And
the anger sounds exasperated.
Going pretty fast. At one point, we saw this driver going speeds up to 90 plus miles per hour. So
this chase is taking a lot out of the anger.
One of the things that we talked about was de-escalation.
El Satan.
The driver, trying to get away, fear flight, and that driver just kept going. And the police they pulled back a little bit to probably make sure that nothing bad were to happen. But as you see right now, the law enforcement agencies are creeping up. So this guy knows that he's being pursued, knows that police are...
Oh, they're doing the picture-in-picture, yeah.
It's just a matter of time to see what will happen.
The bottom inset picture is the live video.
Screen. This is when the driver...
weaving in and out of traffic earlier.
The area where the traffic was a lot of cars in that area, and it was weaving in and out of the lanes right there at certain times, going to speeds up to 90 miles per hour, which is just ridiculous. And
just ridiculous.
On the left-hand side of the screen, not as many people. Well, we want to let our CBS 2 News viewers know that we are switching over, so we'll go back to regular programming on CBS, but we'll continue this pursuit on KCAL 9 News right now. Also, if you have a computer or phone, CBS News Los Angeles, so we will see you all over there.
And we are continuing to follow breaking news here on KCAL 9. We are coming on the air early to show you this pursuit. What we have learned is that this is a carjacking suspect that is leading police on this pursuit in this 4-door white pickup truck now. Joining us on the air is Dave Avila, who's been following.
We believe this is a carjacking.
On our sister station.
Dude stole this truck.
But we've been watching as this driver is now on surface streets, but earlier, soon after this began, that suspect really doing a lot of zigzagging on the freeways, and now we see at another intersection here, and just continuing to avoid police officers and refusing to stop. We are watching as this driver continues to make his way on these surface streets, which of course we know is so dangerous because people just don't know that this car is coming so fast.
I think this is a GMC, isn't it?
They're not expecting it, and so it can be so dangerous for anyone who is out there on the streets, whether they are walking or driving. They are unaware that a truck might be coming this fast up behind them, to the side of them, making a bad turn, running through a stop sign.
It's an ugly fucking truck.
This driver just refusing to stop. Again, this is a carjacking suspect, and this began about 30 minutes
my kind of truck.
ago, before 11 o'clock.
I mean, I guess it's not his truck either.
This driver just will not stop for officers, has
fire resist,
going at high rates of speed, and continues now to.
Would they still have? Yeah, it's probably still daylight on the West Coast, but this isn't live.
High rates of speed. And we're watching
it's probably about dusk right now in California.
Here as this driver makes his way back onto another freeway here. And at this hour, there is not a lot of traffic out there, but
the pedo van of trucks.
Nothing seems to be slowing this driver down as they continue to make their way along the freeway. We are waiting for information about exactly which freeway this is and the location. Okay, I'm hearing it is the southbound 5 at this time.
On the
and
5.
We do know that Dave Avila will be joining us shortly here. But again, this
what's it look like right now, Media Winch?
Fast again. It's
about dusk, right? It's 7:46.
Dave, I know you've been watching this for a while, and we see again this driver getting on the freeway on the southbound 5. And earlier, when this driver was on the freeway, really a lot of zigzagging.
It's like the vernal equinox. Is it dark already?
Dave, you've been watching this for a while. This has really been a dangerous pursuit.
Yeah, it's all started in the contact center started.
Yeah, it's definitely dark here. It's been dark for a little bit.
But one thing, Amy, I haven't been able to verify.
I would have thought it was pretty. It was like dusk right now.
Force or fear. So whether it was force or fear and or both.
I believe, isn't it? Or last night it was.
Yeah, this suspect has been pretty much staying on the freeways, which I would rather see in any pursuit, because we did get off on the streets, and he was going right, or she was going right through stop signs, red lights, wrong side of the road. The desperation.
He's all the way over in the slow lane now. He's on the shoulder.
But then they started up again, so the police decided, okay, we're going to re-engage again in this pursuit because it's now.
He's starting to face heavy traffic.
Well, Dave, we often talk about it being better that the pursuit is on the freeway because it's not as dangerous. But the way this driver has been going with all the zigzagging between traffic, it has been very dangerous.
Yeah. I mean,
we're taking an exit.
Really, some friends that were rear-ended from a pursuit suspect, and they are.
He's at 3 right now.
Wow. Still injured, and it is really bad. This is a heavy-duty truck here. This was like the heavy-duty, I would say, anywhere, probably around 4,000 pounds, something like that. But coming up on
he's very focused on the weight of the truck.
The desperation.
Oh, goddamn. What in the fuck?
Yeah, and when they go through those intersections.
Oh, God, there's another blurred-out truck.
Unaware that this truck is coming. It's coming at a high rate of speed. It's not stopping at stop signs. The turns are very erratic and going at high rates of speed when you aren't expecting someone to be coming down the street that fast. And it can be so dangerous coming up to
maybe they're a sponsor on the
driver just makes that turn.
The TV station.
Off that one drive.
Japanese porn truck.
Dave, I mean, just the desperation for this driver to get away.
Can't show penetration.
Yeah, exactly. You could see it. So, I mean, we don't know if the suspect's two-striker looking at 3, or 1 looking at 2. So, yeah, that is really increased. On the freeway, they got up to 100 miles per hour, 98, 99 miles per hour. I mean, it was just insane. And you're right, Amy. I mean, I don't care what speed. You get hit by this thing.
I went up, did one back.
It's going to cause injuries.
Exactly. And Dave, as you were mentioning, we don't know at what means this person took this truck, whether it was by force or by, I guess, fear. But this person...
Coercion. By fear.
Yeah, definitely. With the blacked out windows.
By the fear of force.
4-door. You know, are there additional suspects back there? Are the suspects armed? Was it a gunpoint takeover? We don't know, but we have to use extreme caution on every type of pursuit, but especially something like this where you know it was a 215 or
goddamn
carjacked. Suspect.
It's getting really close to those trucks there, Dave. There's a lot of trucks pulled over on the side there, and
this is getting good. It's been good.
Now going around on the wrong side of the road to get away from those trucks. And coming up to another intersection here, we do know that this pursuit is now in Commerce. Again, if you were just joining us, this has been going on for more than
Super Nintendo Chalmers.
This is a carjacking suspect that is refusing to stop for officers. We're watching as this driver is on the wrong side of the road in that 4-door white pickup truck. Joining me on the phone is Dave Avila. And Dave, you were talking about this being a tough truck to stop as well. Because it is about 4,000 pounds. So
he can plow through a lot of smaller cars on the road as well.
Even spike strips.
No, I mean the spike strips would be tough because of he's not sticking like we've seen before, Amy, where they stick to a certain area because they're familiar with it. You know they are. But this one here, this suspect has been on the freeway, off the freeway, so we don't know. As far as a pit maneuver, no, they could still negotiate a pit maneuver, but there's always...
I think it'd be hard to pull a pit maneuver on him.
That pit maneuver, it always looks so smooth, but it's extremely dangerous because it puts you right up against a suspect. And if they want to get away and they got a weapon, it may turn into a really bad situation.
Especially when you see this desperation that this person has to get away at this.
There's a lot of trucks in this area.
This driver picking up some speed.
Semi-trucks.
Really just reckless at times.
Very industrial area, apparently.
Not stopping at stop signs. So this is certainly someone who is desperate to get away.
Yes, exactly. And, earlier we were talking about different departments being involved, Ontario, LA County Sheriffs, maybe Baldwin Park, whomever.
Yeah, that's how you got to do it, Winch.
Before, it's always in a...
hit that lot back in.
You'd love to have your own department involved, and that's pretty much just because of close pursuit.
Komradsky, we believe that he has stolen this truck.
However, I do know that...
I always kept sandbags in the back of my truck to keep it from fishtailing.
Back up there.
Especially when it was slick outside.
You can't see the black and whites. They're talking to each other, communicating. They're in the vicinity. But as you can see, a lot of the concern here is the citizen. It's all about citizen safety, of course. But you can see if we were to pit this guy right here or gal right here, and they come out with the weapon, there's citizens all over the place.
Absolutely, absolutely, and certainly dangerous no matter how you
take your meds, Imperial.
Here, and this driver certainly not slowing down and just continues to go. And again, we see this quick lane changes, and as you were mentioning, we cannot see those cruisers behind it, but we do know that they are there. We're just keeping a close shot on the pickup truck so we can see exactly what's happening with this driver. And it looks as though they have pulled into a parking lot of some sort.
Uh-oh.
And this, of course, Dave, can be very dangerous as well. But we can see how close that cruiser is now on that truck.
Yeah,
the 501, they're back out on the road.
You know,
he cut somebody off.
Before he was on Atlantic.
They definitely a Chevy.
So it's almost as though he's starting to getting familiar with the area, but not real sure. It's just
He's getting familiar with the area? What?
He's just going to go in. But that pulled into that parking lot. That was kind of dangerous. I was hoping he didn't get stuck there, especially with a bunch of stores and citizens all around. So now we're back on the road again.
Yes, yes. And this
on the road again.
40 mile per hour looked like marking there, but this truck going very fast through another intersection, really pulling away from those cruisers behind. I'm guessing they're backing off a little bit to see if it will in fact get this driver to slow down a bit. But again, through another intersection, the advantage here is that we do not have a lot of traffic at this hour, just creeping up at about 11:40 now, and now on the wrong side of the road. This is always so dangerous.
Go, love it.
The truck is coming at a high rate of speed in the wrong direction, but now back on the right side. We see that cruiser again, but the truck just seems to be pulling away from the cruisers there.
Yeah, you can see they punched it there. You know what?
Punched it.
Technique I used to do, and this was just it wasn't something that was taught. Let's say, is that when I was flying.
This is way better than Matt Walsh.
And if it was a busy intersection, we would do tight orbits and hit the siren. That siren's extremely loud. And what's the first thing you do when you hear a siren, whether it's coming from the air or the ground, is you sit up and your head turns into a swivel and you start looking.
Light one up, tip one back.
That's why I like to see these black and whites on this suspect, because it's warning people. Still, they'll say it doesn't, but it does warn people up ahead that something's occurring very close. It's coming your way.
Exactly, which is great. We see a little more traffic now on the roadway, and this.
I accept it. Media Winch.
And just really continues to zigzag between trucks and cars. Anything that they need to do to keep.
It fits with my brand.
Continue to get away from the officers, but we do.
It is just recently that we've really been focused on police chases
to get away at this point on the shoulder, zigzagging, and we've seen this driver go on the wrong side.
They're awfully fun.
Doesn't seem like they have a real.
Did you see the one the other day, Media Winch, that ended in the dildo store?
Up here, and
ended at the dildo store.
You imagine that driver.
Oh God, what is going on now?
Lights and siren behind them, and they were starting to bunch that truck in a little bit. So. Again, wide open roadway now, again, from this vantage point, but that...
Oh, don't make me watch it again. This is my favorite car chase. It's only like 3 minutes long.
Four-door pickup truck.
But so much happens in that 3 minutes.
So,
and it ends in a dildo, or it ends at a dildo store.
They were trying to get to pull over. We don't know at this point if this was by force or fear, but again, this person has taken a truck from someone and is refusing to stop for officers, Dave.
Yeah, the bad thing is too.
We watched so many awesome chases.
Familiar with these freeways and
the woman that got up on the hood of that truck
always kind of cross
after she rammed her car into traffic.
That's where you see a lot of suspects. Now the black and white.
All right. I'll play that one after this one.
That's just my own opinion.
Then we'll rate into producer Dave.
What that does is tell people, hey, take a look in your rearview mirror. There's something coming your way. One thing I do mention, this is my own personal thing, looking at it from the air, being in a pursuit, driving a black and white in pursuit, and being everyday citizen, is I just tell my people, just say, just hold on to the steering wheel, maintain your speed, and stay there. I know you're supposed to turn, go to the right. But when you got somebody like this that comes up and will swing...
Is that a Crown Vic? Is that what that is? I didn't think they made them anymore.
Exactly. Stay out of the way. Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to get them to stop. Don't try to get involved. Just...
Really?
We've seen it with a big rig. We've seen it with other...
I thought they made really good cop cars, to be honest.
Yeah, just stay away. It is so dangerous, these pursuits, and we don't know if they have a weapon with them. We don't know if
But you can't just park a car. It's got to be, started and driven.
Yes.
It's something we have to be concerned about.
A 2011 stockpile.
On the
do they
freeway here, we
have somebody on the force just go
the driver just kind of zigzag,
move them every once a week or something?
Stuck behind any car for too long, but those lane changes so abrupt are certainly dangerous for people who are not expecting them, not really sure what's going on. Because when you're
Crown Vics were cool cars.
you're not expecting a pursuit. Even if you drive in LA, you don't think you're going to be in the area of the pursuit. So when it comes up behind you, it can be a little startling to be there as this car is trying to pass by, and the cops are there, right there on the tail, and you see all the lights and hear the sirens. It can be a little intimidating, and so you do want to panic and pull over.
Yeah, exactly. And it just we're just seeing
how's this going to end?
Techniques being in place now. Years ago they didn't have the spike strip, they didn't have surveillance, they didn't have tracking, pit maneuver, and now they have. It's progressed so much. It's actually, like I mentioned before, every pursuit is monitored, evaluated. There's always somebody looking to how can we increase the safety of the citizens, how can we get the suspect into custody a lot quicker without endangering the suspect. And this is all part of it. It's so bad to watch this pursuit just go on, but right now nobody's getting hurt, and that's the number one right there.
That is the number one, and stopping a driver on the freeway like this is just really impossible with spike strips, and certainly no really real measures to get them to stop on the freeway.
No, it's we're continuing southbound on the 5 freeway. This thing started out here, as far as I know, and it was it's continued all the way out west, south, and then now we're heading southwest on the 5 freeway. So I don't know, maybe we'll just see if they decide they're going to try and take the 605 north to get back to Ontario. That's the thing is, you got the air unit overhead. So the air unit, what they're doing is that TFD, Tactical Flight Deputy, what he or she is doing is they're broadcasting to the units what's up ahead. You got traffic slowing down, wide open. The northbound 605 is bumper to bumper, just for info, just to give them a word picture of what's up ahead.
Exactly, and just the danger. I know that it is best for the to be on the freeway because it is less dangerous, but it is still a dangerous situation. This driver not going as fast as you saw a little earlier, Dave, when you said that the driver was going about 100 miles an hour. It appears that the driver has slowed down considerably, and we are thankful for that because, of course, it makes it a little less dangerous, but certainly the danger is there as this driver continues to change lanes and make abrupt lane changes when people are really unsuspecting of this, and certainly puts everyone in danger that's on the roadway. And the officers do seem as though they have backed off a little bit, Dave, but as you were mentioning, them staying close certainly warns drivers that are out there that something is coming up their way there.
Yeah. So it's they'll get to the point where they'll say, okay, if this driver is starting to just maintain a speed and is sticking to one lane, then maybe we can go ahead. I think you're just seeing a switch off here from LASO to the Chippies. And
the dude is going to run out of gas eventually.
That mutual aid.
We've watched him long enough for him to run out of gas.
The departments work with each other.
If he had anything less than like a half a tank.
Exactly, and I think it's probably also a benefit that the officers, to chase someone like this at this high rate of speed can be very intense, and I'm sure it's nice that, the officers swap out and you get a fresh driver there that is now in pursuit of this carjacking suspect who has really been driving fast and in very dangerous manner, and so you've got a fresh officer now that is in pursuit.
A fresh officer.
Yeah, and like we know with the Chippies, they'll go from division from station to station, just up and down the state. So they're already, like I mentioned earlier, the air unit's already broadcasting this to them via.
He's slowing down
about what's coming your way.
Oh, by the way, we have
and there's
dates for the debates for
some will get off and they'll
Colin Allred and Ted Cruz.
But it looks like we're starting to slow down.
And Josh Hawley, he's coming to a crawl.
I wonder what's causing the slowdown. Is there a mechanical problem with the truck? Is this driver finally having some second thoughts about this pursuit? Maybe running out of gas? maybe plotting out something. But I imagine for those officers, you're just really wondering what's going through the mind of this driver right now. How desperate are they?
Maybe coming to an end.
Yeah, this is very interesting. You can see they're blocking the traffic behind the stop. But the way they're coasting, I mean, it almost makes you think that maybe they're getting real low on gas or they're running out of gas. But then they'll pick up the speed to, I don't know, guessing 30, 40 miles per hour and slow down a whole bunch. So maybe they are speaking to somebody who's saying, hey, you got to stop. You're just making a bad thing worse.
Looks like they're pulling off, maybe.
Violations that this suspect has accumulated. Forget about the carjacking. Everything that he's done or she has done since then is just getting worse and worse.
Yes, but it really does make you wonder what's happening here. If this is, this driver deciding to slow down or the truck is.
It's always such an uneventful ending. Well, it's not always an uneventful ending.
If this person is in fact armed, we again don't know how they took this truck. We do know that it was a carjacking suspect, but as Dave Avila was saying,
usually an uneventful ending.
Here, so we don't know if a weapon was involved, but officers certainly have to approach this driver.
It sucks they'll lead cops on a chase for like an hour.
Dave, always think that they're armed.
And then just get out and surrender.
I mean, you're hoping for the best, but you are prepared for the worst. You're hoping, what they're hoping here is that the suspect will coast to the stop. They'll deploy around the suspect. They'll put out their commands, as we've seen before, mentioned before, throw the keys out, that sort of thing, step out, hands up. But I just not really sure what's going on. I mean, it's just kind of the suspect just keeps coasting along here.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And unfortunately, the windows are just so dark, we can't see if there's anyone in the truck with the driver.
Oh, he's got hands out.
The arms are out of the driver.
See, he's just going to give up.
I'm trying to see if there's someone on the passenger side as well. But it does look like this driver is putting their arms
just going to fucking give up.
Of the truck. And
we got hands on the other side. Looks like a woman.
Though they are giving up at this point. Of course, looked like the passenger side just threw something out. Yeah. Did you see that, Dave? There on the right. I'm wondering, was that a gun, in your opinion? Is that what that looks like?
You all saw her. She had a gun.
Does look like one. I can't be certain.
I believe those were woman hands.
Yeah, but we're...
Oh, what the fuck?
As the suspects are getting out, it appears to be a male driver and a female passenger. They have both gotten out. Something was, in fact, thrown out of that passenger side window. It was a black object. We do not know at this point if it is, in fact, a gun or something else. Could have been a cell phone.
They just gave up.
Wallet, but it also could have been a gun. I'm sure we'll see soon whether or not that was, in fact, a weapon that was thrown out of the truck. But, it's always good to see this, Dave, that a pursuit like this comes to an end without a crash, without anyone being injured. And that's certainly a good sign. We're watching as the female passenger continues to walk backwards towards those officers.
You got booty.
It is now being told to get down on her knees.
He deserves a titty slap.
Yeah.
Behind her head.
We've seen some wild date nights here recently.
Together, and she just came back with them, so they told him to get down to your knees, freeze, just stay there. They're going to have an arrest team come up.
So uneventful end to that one. This next one does not have an uneventful end, but before we do that, I want to go ahead and go over. We have announced dates for a debate with Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who's going to be debating his Democratic challenger, Colin Allred, on October 15th. October 15th, I believe that's 7 p.m. That might be 7 p.m. their time, which would be 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'll make sure you know the right time as we get closer to it. Of course, the vice presidential debate is a week from Tuesday. I think that's the next debate that we have, unless another one pops up before then. One other one was announced. Okay, on Halloween, we get Josh Hawley. We get Senator Josh Hawley debating his Democratic challenger, Lucas Kuntz. That's on Halloween. Those are the two newest debates announced this past week. Our next debate is Wisconsin 8th. That is this coming Friday, Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District. It's Dr. Kristen Liverly. And she's the Democrat debating Republican Tony Weed. I believe this is an open seat. So that's this Friday. I think they've already had one debate, and it was contentious. So that's this coming Friday, September 27th. We're going to be doing Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District. Dr. Kristen Liverly, the Democrat, debating Republican Tony Weed. We got congressional debates coming. We got 3 congressional debates on October 8th. It's going to be hard to watch them all. I think we've even got no Senate debate that night. The next Senate debate we have is October 2nd. That is Virginia Senator Tim Kaine debating his Republican challenger, Hung Cao. Yes, I said Hung Cao. This is going to be a hard one to watch. Also on October 2nd, we get North Dakota's Senate debate between Katrina Christensen and the Republican incumbent Kevin Cramer. October 3rd is going to be a really fun one and a crucial Senate seat for Democrats. Senator Bob Casey, the Democratic incumbent, is going to be debating David McCormick. The really, really big one that everybody is waiting for is Arizona, also a crucial seat for Democrats. It's October 9th. Ruben Gallego, the Democrat, this is for Kirsten Sinema's open seat. Ruben Gallego debating Carrie Lake. Expect there to be a lot of people in here for that debate, guys. That's going to be huge. We get a lot of people in here for debates. And when it's a high-profile one like Ted Cruz and Allred, there's going to be a lot of people in here for that. Carrie Lake and Gallego. Dibs on floor seats. All right, I promise you, this is out of Columbus. It's only 3 minutes. A lot happens in 3 minutes. This might be my favorite police chase ever. It happened on September 3rd.
That's 11. Everybody turn your body cameras on.
Light one up, tip one back.
Getting off at Maywood, Eastbound Main, 71.
That's 11 with the one car.
So Eastbound Main, one cruiser behind it. Going through 18, Eastbound Main, going through 18.
This is Columbus, Ohio.
This is Mass Ohio now. High rate of speed. Driving up there.
Green, you're good. Go!
Traffic is mild. He's doing about 80.
Is that him slowing down?
Wilson. Coming up to Wilson. Topper said he can't record it.
Oh, these motherfuckers are putting so many people in danger.
You're good right, good right, good right, good right.
And the guy we're riding with is yelling at the cop in front of him for not going fast enough. Keep an eye on the cop in front of us.
Was it a dead end back here? Go, 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 go.
He's belling right now.
No, he's not. Come back to Maine. Come back to Maine. He's going to head back. He's going to come out on Maine over by the towers. Eastbound Main, eastbound Main.
It gets very dangerous for the next stretch. They put a lot of civilians in danger.
Got it. Take it, take it, take it.
This is the suspect.
Watch out, watch out, watch out. Left, 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 left.
They ran through a red light.
You're good, you're good. He's missing a tire.
Yeah, but he's popped a tire now.
Creek.
You see it come up. You see it come off here.
Take him at the wall, take him at the wall.
Just a few minutes.
Take him, take him, take him. Take him. Take him.
Failed pit maneuver.
Southbound Allen Creek still.
Female black striper hat on
He's
the
gonna go
black
for it.
t-shirt, jeans.
Another failed pit maneuver.
Male black white hoodie has a gun. Mission fit unsuccessful. White hoodie has a gun.
I know it's just a little Chevy Cruze.
Come on, Gino, take it. Missed it.
Went for a third one. We see the tire go off here in a second.
Left lane, ready to cross the...
Good, good. Go, go, go. You're good, 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 good. We've lost a wheel. S11, he just lost a wheel. We're still southbound Elm Creek.
Here it is going across the road.
We're going to be at Lion's Den, bailing.
Into the dildo shop. And he ran into the suspect. I wonder if the kid has a broken leg.
Good. We've lost a wheel. S11, he just lost a wheel. We're still southbound Elm Creek.
Here you see the wheel. Yeah.
Lion's Den.
At the Lion's Den.
Bailing.
They try to run. Ooh. It does not look like he gets he does not get away. He gets apprehended.
Bailing.
Ow. It was an adult shop. It was the Lion's Den. I think it's a chain, isn't it?
We've lost a wheel. S11, he just lost a wheel. We're still southbound Elm Creek.
This might be my favorite chase, but the woman in Utah was also good.
We're going to be at Lion's Den, bailing.
This is Columbus, Ohio. Exmort, that's fantastic.
Tonight, a near catastrophic story with a picture-perfect ending. A missing cat's unbelievable journey home. How cute is that cat? So this California cat went missing months ago in a different state.
God damn it.
It was found in Rose.
That's what I'm here for. I'm a man of the people. I'm here to show you the most absurd news, politics, and current events.
Perfect ending. A missing cat's unbelievable journey home. How cute is that cat? So this California cat went missing months ago in a different state, and it was found in Roseville.
Yeah, this is a story you gotta see to believe. Your reporter covering Placer County, Brady Halbleib, has more on this cat's journey. Yes, from Yellowstone to Roseville and back to its home in Salinas.
I don't know that I've ever seen Homeward Bound.
First, when Alex Bitts stopped right here.
If I did, it's when I was a wee little kid.
What she calls a cat yowling.
Cats don't generally yowl like that unless there's something wrong.
She went down into this drainage ditch outside of Sutter Roseville Hospital.
I probably would. I'd totally cry.
Barely holding on to life.
It took a while for me to actually get the cat close enough to see it.
As an animal lover at heart, Alex did what she says was the right thing to do. So she DoorDashed canned cat food to work and brought a cup of fresh.
She DoorDashed canned cat food.
As soon as I opened that first can, he did poke his head up and he recognized the sound. So to me, that indicated that he was a pet.
The next day, Alex returned with more food and a dog kennel. She was able to get the cat inside.
You want her to yell.
Home, nurtured it for a few days before taking the cat to Placer SPCA.
It was.
I don't know how you can say cats aren't real.
Suzanne and Ben Anguiano
Sure do have a lot of them.
With their 2 cats. While transferring them from the truck to the camper, their cat Rainbow escaped, running off into the woods, and park rangers there didn't give them any encouraging news.
He goes, good luck. If your cat doesn't make it home tonight, good luck.
After searching for 5 days, they had to give up and return to their home in Salinas.
I felt like I was abandoning him.
Now here's where things get wild. After being surrendered to the SPCA, the cat was scanned for a microchip, revealing it was registered to Suzanne.
I still didn't believe it. I said, okay, you have to describe him to me, because I was just, it was so overwhelming that this could be true.
The theory is Rain hitched a ride knowingly or unknowingly with someone who happened to live in Roseville.
As God has placed all the little
signs.
All the signs.
Yeah.
We're there.
Allowing the pieces to line up.
If you're watching on Twitch, you're heading over to Echoplex Media. It's Sunday night.
They were supposed to. That
It's the Plex Podcast.
but somebody working through me.
Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack.
Heard the cat and just.
I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol live.